is the Put It in the Air podcast. This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
Yes. Welcome into the Put It in the Air podcast. The playoffs are upon us. I am your host, Brennan Casello, a.k.a. East Coast Virus.
And they're not quite upon us, but I'm Pascal Rawls Philippe, a.k.a. Punkson Drublick.
They are coming.
They are almost here. We got one more week left to shake things out. And are they shaky?
They're going to be shaky because I'll tell you one thing I can guarantee.
What's that, my friend? One
of us will be in and one of us will be out.
Oh, that sounds ominous.
It's true. All the different pathways to the finals, to the playoffs, show that Pascal and I will not be able to join each other as a 7 and 8 seed, playing different teams and rooting each other down the line. We're going to have to be super thrilled that we made it and super sour that we didn't.
So you're saying that I'm going to make it and you're going to miss it? Because I'm not really going to be that disappointed if I miss it, because I've been out of the playoffs pretty much the whole year. So it wasn't until about a couple weeks ago that I thought I actually had a chance.
Well,
so I don't think I'll be that disappointed if I don't make it.
I have to say this. You could go ahead and throw the week and you could still make the playoffs.
Well, that's good to know.
So that's the crazy part. If Pascal and I both lose, it comes down to Colin and Babalu, who also will be fighting for a playoff spot. And it's win and you're in, and lose and you go home. So they get the early playoff matchup. Colin and Baba facing off this week. We'll have more about that coming up. But the winner is in, the loser is out. If Colin wins, Pascal and I both lose, then
hold on.
Oh,
I know that you want to get to this really quickly, so quickly that you dropped a teaser for it in the chat on Sunday.
Yes.
But how about we wait till we actually come to this section to discuss what's going to happen?
Oh, there's a section for this?
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy, right?
Awesome.
Have you been here before for this podcast?
I don't know where I've been for the last few weeks.
That's a good point.
Definitely on the losing end of a few tough matchups. When it comes to the 5 and 37 bet, I did lose this week.
In all the leagues?
No, I just lost to you, and I won in both the other leagues.
Yay. I'm glad that I could give you that 1L.
Yeah. I won pretty handedly in the family league, and then the Billy's Lions Den league came down to last night. Cortland Sutton needed only about 5.5 points and a half PPR, and he did it before the first half. So so we're up to 22 wins. So if I go 0-3 this week, Billy wins $10. If I go 1-2, Scott wins $10. And if I go 2-1,
and how many were you expected?
Marv wins $10. I was expected to have 5 wins and 37 losses. Basically going 21-21 would be 500. I'm at 22. So these guys were way off.
Well done.
Even though it feels like a losing season just because of the Put It in the Air League the last few weeks, it's just been so brutal watching my team.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
What else?
My whole season, basically.
Yeah. Well, you've been on the bounce back. You and Colin have certainly been on the bounce back. Anything else happened this week in?
Not a ton. The Bears finally fired their coach about 2/3 of a season too late. They probably should have fired him at the end of last season. But Matt Eberflus is out.
Joins the offensive coordinator from fired a couple weeks ago.
Their shit show of an ownership group decided to let him do his morning Skype call with the media and then fired him afterward, which it's just like, yeah, I can see why you guys keep on rolling through head coaches and quarterbacks to boot. Like
I have to say, I don't hate them for that.
Really?
I think that the Bears had an opportunity to put the Lions in place and maybe even beat them and possibly go to overtime, most likely. They didn't even get a chance to kick that field goal. That clock management was just what killed that dude's
So
job.
I don't hate them for firing him, right? It made sense after
They were
after
bitter.
all that.
They
right?
let him go through thinking he had his job.
They've had two wins taken away from them at the last second by things that their coach should be doing better. Stevenson, the cornerback, who basically lost the game for them against the Commanders on the Hail Mary, right? Like after he was messing around on the play before the Hail Mary, his coach probably should have taken him out and had to talk to him. And then the totally messing up the clock situation here this week. You got to get fired after that. I understand it.
But there was more Bears games where they lost in the last potential game-winning drive where they just had terrible clock management.
Yeah, I don't pay that much attention to them. But like I said, he should have been fired at the end of last season. Or at the very least, they should have fired him before he went on his Skype call. Like, it's second-rate ownership. That's why they are as bad as they are. And for as long as they've been this bad, that's how this goes. You know, if your owner's bad, your franchise is going to be bad too.
Yeah. Well, it sucks to see the Bears being bad with their division so potent. So that's it for the week. Nothing else. I mean, besides some major injuries and stuff, we'll talk about that during the injury list. All right. So let's get it moving. All right. Too bad we kind of dug into this before we started recording because Pascal kind of doled my anger at a player that plays for the Houston Texans named Azeez Al-Shaair, who is a pretty brutal, awesome linebacker. He had a late hit called against Trevor Lawrence.
It wasn't a late hit.
Pascal says it wasn't a late hit. I was befuddled as to why he would say that. We argued about it. We argued about it, prior while we were setting up. And I still think it was a late hit, and I still think that he should maybe serve a 1-game suspension and probably get fined $50,000 to $100,000.
That's why it's the no fun league.
What do you mean?
I mean,
it's not NFL, fun to knock a
you're right.
Quarterback unconscious.
But the NFL has done everything within their power to cater the game to the quarterbacks. And it's pathetic. As a defensive player, you basically can't touch a quarterback or you're going to get a penalty and probably a fine.
I agree.
And the way that
they protect them,
officiating,
they baby them.
The way they're officiating the game, the quarterbacks are now taking advantage of the rules to where you have Patrick Mahomes against the 49ers acting like he's going to run out of bounds and then deciding, nope, I'm not going to, and get 20 more yards.
And Russell Wilson does that a lot, too.
Russell Wilson does it.
So annoying.
Was it Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph? One of those guys did a fake slide last year and kept going for more yards, or maybe it was Will Levis or something.
Was it Mason Rudolph and then Myles Garrett took his helmet off and started beating him with it?
No. That was a couple seasons ago.
That was Mason Rudolph, though.
But like
the red-faced reindeer.
The way they're officiating the game is allowing the quarterbacks to take advantage of the rules at the
expense of the
defense and
unit.
What are you supposed to do? Are you really supposed to let these guys get an extra 20 yards on you? No,
you're right, man.
If the quarterback is going to make the conscious decision to slide as late as possible, trying to get more yards, then it is the defender's duty to hit him. Period.
Now,
if it's an obvious illegal hit, if the defender's taken 3 steps and then launching himself into the quarterback after he's already on the ground sliding, all right, I can be down with that being a dirty call, a dirty hit. But in this case, they were about 2.5 yards apart. The linebacker started his tackle at the same time that Lawrence started to slide. And when you look at it in slow motion, It's obvious that there's nothing dirty about this hit.
Now, to Trevor Lawrence's credit, he did not slide late. He actually slid too early and was about a yard or yard and a half shy of the first down. I know that the linebacker in real time is not looking at exactly where he is on the field.
In comparison to where
close.
the defender was.
You're
you
correct.
slide to protect yourself from getting hit.
Yes.
So you have to slide early enough that the defender hasn't started his approach.
Now, when quarterbacks are being protected and they have body weight rules and hit to the head, hand to the head, face mask to the face mask, I mean, some of these things are vicious and do need to be done away with, but they really do call these penalties too often. Now, in this particular case, watching it in slow motion, it looks like Al-Shaair is falling forward as he started his tackle when Trevor Lawrence does start his slide. But he does throw his forearm into Trevor Lawrence's face as he falls. And in real time, it looks super vicious. I know it's football,
Right.
but it definitely knocked someone out that's a key piece to the team. And I love to see whenever a quarterback gets hit, regardless if it's too late or too early, the offensive line, especially in the offensive unit, coming after that dude, and it was like a riot. They had him on the ground.
You've got to expect the offense to do exactly what they did. I have no problem with the offensive line, with offensive players defending their teammates. I have no problem
until
with that.
you go too far, which Evan Ingram apparently did. He didn't get thrown out of the game, but I know another offensive player did. There's no room in the game for poking a guy in the eyes and choking him out when he's on the ground or throwing punches to other guys.
I didn't see the fight,
They
so I
didn't-
don't know what happened.
They didn't really dissect
But
it
if
well.
if Evan Ingram did some foul stuff during the fight, he should be suspended too. Get
I
out of
mean-
here. Listen, at least what Al-Shaair did was
in
in
the
the
play.
play. If you're doing extracurriculars after the play trying to hurt someone, you need to be suspended for a long time.
However, Al-Shaair didn't, obviously after getting after pummeling the quarterback, he, I'm sure, had his adrenaline rushing crazy, and they threw him out of the game, and he ripped his helmet off, and he started going at like some of the offensive linemen and jawing at him, and it was like, dude, you're already out of here. And so is one of the offensive players.
I would have done the same
I
thing.
get that.
I'd been like,
I get
listen,
that.
if I'm already kicked out, yeah, I'm ripping my helmet off. I'm jawing at you. I got plenty of things to say, especially if they were doing sheep things to me.
You're in the spotlight, and if you want to keep that maintain that I did something on the field that was a little wrong, but things were done wrong to me off the field, like, don't carry that on. And
These are football players. We need to stop treating it like figure skating. I'm not down with that. I don't like what the NFL has become. It was already the no fun league, and now it's becoming two-hand touch.
No quarterback should ever get completely knocked out when they're sliding.
They need to protect themselves. That is the name of the game.
That's
when Drake
when
May
going
got,
into a slide,
Drake
you're
May
supposed
got
to be
concussed,
protecting yourself, though.
Yeah, but you need to slide early enough to where the defense doesn't have a chance to hit you. That's your responsibility.
He slid early enough before he got the first down.
No, he didn't. You're talking about first down. I'm talking about proximity to a defender. You slide to protect yourself from a defender, and if you're trying to get the first down and you don't give yourself the defender enough time to pull up, that's your fault, not the defender's.
Yeah, but the way he gave himself up, it looked like Al-Shaair in slow motion was falling on him, but it really was. I think it was more vicious than Pascal's leading it to be.
Yeah, we looked at it in slow motion, and we both saw that it's not.
He did catch a 3-game suspension, so the NFL agrees.
Pathetic.
In your opinion?
Yeah, the NFL is horrible at doling out punishment.
I think 1 game would have been suffice. 50 G's in 1 game.
They kicked him out the game.
A new car in 1 game.
They kicked him out the game. That was enough.
That
was too much even. But
no,
that was enough.
But he kicked out Trevor Lawrence out of the game and probably out of future games too.
It wasn't a dirty play.
It's like the hip drop tackle. It's a new element of the game, and it's making it more difficult for defenses.
And it's pathetic.
Well, gotta do what you gotta do.
And now,
moving along. What would you like to cover next, dude? Are we moving forward to the next segment?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. So we'll jump into.
Sorry for that silence on the mic, folks, but I think we got a little heated and had to.
We were just staring
down.
through each other's brains.
Simmer down now.
All right. So we'll go on into, dude, what happened?
Hundown.
The Bears at the Lions. Gobble Gobble Part 1. In a game that most NFL fans expected was over before it started, Caleb Williams showed why he was the number 1 overall pick, as he strings together one of the best games of his career, despite being let down by the best surrounding cast of any number 1 pick has ever had. He threw for 20 of 39, 256 yards, and 3 touchdowns, despite some very questionable effort from his pass catchers. Meanwhile, the Lions wagon saw another efficient game from Goff to go along with 175 rushing yards from Gibbs and Montgomery, but a wheel fell off the wagon in the second half as the Bears tried to steal a win, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Hey everybody, I'm back. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Detroit hosts their annual Thanksgiving home game and dominate through the first half. Caleb Williams decides to wake up from the tryptophan-induced lunch nap and hits Keenan Allen with 2 TDs and DJ Moore with 1 to get right back in the game, which has a clock, which ticks down, which is the reason Chicago loses without attempting the game-tying field goal. And then the next day, they lose their head coach in what must be a related move. Final score, Detroit 23, Chicago 20.
The Giants at the Cowboys. Gobble Gobble Part 2. In a game that most NFL fans hoped came as their tryptophan started to kick in, the G-Men finally started the backup QB, who they paid to be their backup QB, and he proceeded to play like a backup QB by zeroing in on his rookie star wide receiver, who caught 8 of 13 targets for 69 yards. And his tight end, who caught 5 of 5 targets for 55 yards. As Giants fans are hoping to see a bit more losing to close out the season. Meanwhile, the Cowboys also started their backup again since their starter is out for the season, but his star receiver decided to drop more passes than he caught. But luckily for the boys, their QB didn't lead their team in rushing like his counterpart, as Rico Dowdle put up 112 rushing yards in a loss.
The Cowboys look bad. The Giants look terrible. The Cowboys patchwork a win against the horrible Giants squad that is in line to land next year's first overall pick. In other words, the Cowboys suck for winning 27-20.
The Dolphins at the Packers. Gobble Gobble Part 3. In a game that most NFL fans figured would be cold, Tua turned the ball over, made good on his promise to stop playing sub-40-degree games as if he grew up in Hawaii and went to college in Alabama. But good doesn't mean good enough, as Mike McDaniels was cold on the sideline according to his players, and his run game looked like it was left in the warm Miami weather. Meanwhile, the Packers showed why cold weather teams should never build indoor stadiums as they roll over the Finns, despite somehow also leaving their running game in Miami, as special teams and failed fourth downs allow them to run out to a 24-3 lead at half that proved more than enough for the win.
Green Bay's defense and special teams gets them off to an early start as Jordan Love connects for 2 TDs with wide receiver Jaden Reed to go into the half, as Pascal said, 24-3. Tua must have watched the earlier game where Caleb Williams did his best to come back in the spotlight. However, this one was gone too far as Green Bay wins 30-17.
The Raiders at the Chiefs. The African-American Friday game was one of the most NFL fans thought they had no interest in seeing, but it was almost the one game we all hoped to see. Aiden O'Connell was the best QB in this game by a large margin, as he went 23 of 35 for 340 yards and 2 touchdowns for a 116 quarterback rating, throwing to all-world tight end Brock Bowers, who caught 10 of 14 for 140 and a touchdown, and Jacoby Myers, who caught 6 of 11 for 97 yards. But a botched snap that was originally called a false start was changed to a non-dead ball penalty after much deliberating by Patrick Mahomes' Zebra buddies, ended the game before the Raiders could kick a winning field goal. Meanwhile, no one on the Chiefs' offense was particularly good, but they won the game anyway.
Black Friday, Las Vegas, does their best to get the Chiefs lost in the black hole, and they succeed by taking a late lead in the fourth quarter. However, Kansas City always finds a way, kicking a field goal to go ahead by 1, leaving the Raiders with a true 2-minute drill opportunity. The Raiders get set up to what would be a 50-yard field goal as they attempt to get more yards to give Daniel Carlson the better chance. Aiden O'Connell fumbles the snap and loses the ball and loses to Kansas City 19-17. Move forward.
The Chargers at the Falcons. Superstar quarterback Justin Herbert continues to be an afterthought in Jim Harbaugh's offense, even when their starting running back is on IR, as he throws for a measly 147 yards on 23 attempts, 117 of those to rookie wide receiver Ladd McConkey, who went out with a knee, as no one else on the team had more than 12 receiving yards. But they still left with the win, despite their lead rusher accounting for 32 yards. Meanwhile, Bijan Robinson runs for 102 yards and a touchdown to go along with 6 receptions. Ray catches 4 for 95, and Drake pulls in 9 for 86. But Kirk threw 4 interceptions and took away any chance of winning.
Weird. The team that just goes over 200 total yards of offense beats the team with over 360. That's what 4 interceptions will do, as Cousins cost the Falcons this must-win loss. 17-13 Chargers.
The Steelers at the Bengals. Dangerous channeled his younger self against a porous Bengals defense as he throws for a whopping 414 yards on 29 of 38 passing for 3 touchdowns and 1 pick, en route to a 126 passer rating by completing passes to 10 different teammates, with 4 going for more than 50 yards and 9 for more than 20 yards, and all 10 have more than 9 yards per catch. Meanwhile, Joe Burrow matches the 3 touchdowns and 1 pick while tossing up 309 passing yards, but losing 2 fumbles made all the difference in this shootout and sullied a day where his running back put up 5.8 yards per carry on only 12 carries. Chase went for 6 for 86 and a tutty. Higgins went 5 for 69 and a tutty. And 5 players had over 10 yards per catch.
Everybody eats in this one as QBs, RBs, wide receivers, tight ends, and defenses put up 82 combined points. The Steelers hold off the division rivals when it's all said and done, 44-38.
The Cardinals at the Vikings. Kyler Murray has not been playing the same since the Dolphins game, which, according to my notes, was 2 days after the Call of Duty release. And I'm not saying the two are related, but I am saying he's only had 1 good game since that particular weekend, and it happened to come against a Jets team that had recently fired its defensive head coach. But this week, Trey McBride feasted on turkey legs as he caught 12 passes on 12 attempts like he was collecting presents for the 12 nights of Christmas, and Leprechaun Santa, yeah, Kyler Murray, left him with 96 yards as a result. However, the head coach revealing that Maserati Marv would be force-fed targets meant that his 12 targets only turned into 5 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold's sixth sense comes and goes these days, and on this day he was dealing a special platter to Justin Jefferson, who came 1 yard from breaking his streak of sub-100-yard games, as the Vikings coaches decided they only needed to run the ball 15 times, as 3 players run for 22 yards each.
The Cardinals needed this one, as the division is tighter than parallel parking perpendicularly, as they got off to a great start, leading at 1 point, 19-6. The purple wave washed over the Cardinals, was stopped short up 3 and forced to kick the field goal. The Vikings worked their way down the field in the final 3 minutes and then score and go up 1, where it stayed, Minnesota 23, Arizona 22.
The Colts at the Patriots. In a game that would make Jim Irsay want to raise a banner, Anthony Richardson gets the Patrick Mahomes treatment from the refs, as the Pats are called for 6 holding penalties, while the Colts are called for none, despite multiple clear penalties, as the running back cosplaying as a quarterback does just enough as he throws for a 50% completion rate and as many interceptions as touchdowns. Meanwhile, the Patriots get the best game of Drake May's young career as he carves up the Colts D like Lorena Bobbitt, but 2 of 6 in the red area and yet another unlucky interception, this one on the goal line, allows the Dolts to stay in this one until the last seconds of the game.
Finally, a game worth watching, as both of these losing franchises put up a valiant effort to get another W. The matchup was back and forth, and New England seemed to have a clear path to victory after a mid-fourth quarter interception up 7. They followed a pick with a 3-and-out, followed by a 19-play, 5.5-minute drive with 2 fourth-down conversions and a third-down pass interference that ends with a 4th-down Anthony Richardson touchdown run with 12 seconds left. Whoa. The Colts go even bolder and go for the win it or lose it 2-point conversion, where Richardson also finds a way in. The Patriots, in the final 12 seconds, wisely get down the field as they get it into, air quotes, field goal range and come up just shy of the attempted record-breaking 68-yard field goal. Indianapolis 25, New England 24.
The Seahawks at the Jets. Geno Smith goes up against a team that tried to ruin him by drafting him, and his defense and special teams allow him to be the hero by letting the Jets go up 14-0 in the first quarter. They make it up to him by shutting them out in the second half, including a pick 6 in the second quarter, as no one on the Seahawks offense does much worthwhile. Meanwhile, the Jersey B team that many preseason pundits expected to compete for the number 32 overall draft pick has the same record as the Patriots team that many expected to compete for the number 1 overall draft pick. And while the team implodes from the owner down, at least Davante Adams had a fantasy-relevant day with 5 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown.
The Jets score all of their points in the first half, thanks to 3 consecutive fumbled kickoff returns by Seattle, 2 of which were lost, and a kickoff return for 99 yards. It was obvious that the Jets would not win this game, as that is all they had going for them, as they fumble, punt twice, and turn it over on downs with less than 100 yards in the entire second half. Seattle 26, the New York Jets 21.
The Titans at the Commanders. Will Levis continues his up and down play as he throws less than 50% completions, but also 2 touchdowns and no interceptions for 212 yards on 37 attempts, as the Titans coaches abandon the run after going down 21-0 in the first quarter, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is the only fantasy viable Titan as he catches 3 for 61 and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, the Commanders' offense steamrolls the Titans' normally stout defense as Jaden plays well, throwing 25 of 30 for 3 touchdowns and a pick behind a running game that saw 2 players run for over 90 rushing yards with a touchdown, as Chris Rodriguez goes for 94 on 13 carries, and Brian Robinson puts up 103 on 16. Scary Terry also had another big day as he caught 8 for 73 and 2 touchdowns.
After the first quarter, Washington was on pace to take this one 84-0. Instead, they let the Titans back into the game, still outscoring them in the final 3 quarters, as the end result shows. Washington 42, Tennessee 19.
The Texans at the Jaguars. C.J. Stroud and the Texans are playing well, but not as well as expected before the season started, as C.J. throws for 22 of 34 for 242 and a touchdown. Joe Mixon puts up 101 and a tutty on 20 carries. Nico Collins puts up 8 for 110, and Dalton Schultz goes 5 for 61 and a touchdown. Meanwhile, a questionable late hit on starter Trevor Lawrence knocks him out of the game, and Mac Jones comes in and provides a lift to the team by going 20 of 32 for 235 and 2 touchdowns, by making Parker Washington his primary guy with 6 catches for 103 yards and a touchdown, as Brian Thomas adds another touchdown on 76 yards from 4 catches.
Let's face it, Trevor Lawrence gets knocked. Yeah, he got knocked out. Trevor Lawrence gets hit when he was down and knocked out of the game by Azeez Al-Shaair with this questionable hit. The matchup remained close as the kick and defensive snooze fest finally started gaining momentum in the third quarter as Houston took over. Jacksonville attempted to make it look like less of a blowout with 2 late TDs, but we all know who the better team is and who the worst defensive player of the game was. Al-Shaair minus 50,000 plus in a few games, Houston 23 and Jacksonville 20.
The Rams at the Saints. Kyren Williams and Blake Corum run all over the Saints as Kyren puts up 104 yards and a touchdown on 15 carries, and Corum runs for 42 on 8 carries, as Matthew Stafford and the passing game play second fiddle, but still put up 2 touchdowns on only 14 completions. Meanwhile, Derek Carr and the Saints throw for 1 more yard on 13 more attempts, but also get a good game from running back Alvin Kamara, who puts up 112 yards on 23 carries.
This game was like starting a hoopty in sub-freezing conditions as New Orleans went into the half with a 6-0 lead. The smelling salts must have been plentiful in the halftime locker rooms as the second half consisted of more touchdowns than punts. In the end, the Saints were unable to capitalize on their final drive while losing their Swiss Army knife, Taysom Hill, in the process. And the game, Rams 21, Saints 14.
The Buccaneers at the Panthers. Baker Mayfield's oven is broken, even though his main guy, Mike Evans, is back in the fold to the tune of 8 for 118 and a touchdown. But rookie Bucky Irving has a career day 152 rushing yards and a touchdown on 25 attempts, as backup Rachaad White adds another 76 yards on 11 attempts. Meanwhile, Bryce Young is a man renewed since his benching, and he throws some dots as he almost breaks 300 yards on 26 of 46 passing, with one touchdown by leaning on Adam Thielen with 8 catches for 99 yards and a touchdown, and a questionable overturned touchdown that would have ended things in regulation.
Tampa Bay thought they had the week off when they saw Carolina on the schedule. However, Bryce Young had different plans of winning, as the Panthers continue to force punts, turnovers, and the ball down the field. Carolina pushed so hard that they were able to take the lead with 30 seconds left. Tampa Bay, however, was able to get themselves set up on a game-tying field goal to push overtime. After missing his first attempt in overtime, Chase McLaughlin was gifted another opportunity to win the game after a costly Chuba Hubbard fumble. He wouldn't miss this one as Tampa Bay wins 26-23.
The Eagles at the Ravens. Brendan's favorite team, because it's his wife's favorite team, might not be the best team in football, but they're damn close to it. By stealing away Brendan's former favorite player in Saquon Barkley, they have become the team that the Ravens wish they were. But it helps when you also have A.J. Brown instead of Rashad Bateman, and a really good defense to back it up. Jalen Hurts accounted for 2 touchdowns, 1 running, but only 147 yards passing and running combined, as Saquon notched yet another 100-yard game, and AJ added 66 yards receiving on 5 catches. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson was the better QB in this one, but Derrick Henry played second fiddle to Saquon, as he only put up 82 yards on 19 carries, and Zay Flowers only caught 3 balls for 74 yards, while Mark Andrews continues his return to form, catching 6 for 67 and a touchdown, as Isaiah Likely gets Lamar's other touchdown toss on a 38-yard receiving day for him.
The Ravens open up strong as they force 3 and outs on the first 4 Philly drives. They learn quickly that if the game clock is still ticking, don't let up, as Jalen Hurts throws and runs one in before the half. They didn't need much more in the second half as Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals, which could have proved to be the difference in the end, as Philly wins their 8th straight, 24-19 over Baltimore.
The 49ers at the Bills. Our second snow game of the season was a blizzard, as the Bills' ownership is glad their new stadium will not be as affected by the weather, thereby taking away the need to hire local fans to shovel snow to get the stadium ready. However, the aforementioned fans might not like losing the built-in advantage they get in cold weather, the type of weather that helped their team completely destroy the West Coast 49ers. No one on the Niners topped 100 yards, even their QB, who only threw for 94 yards on 14 attempts. And to add insult to injury, injury added insult to this horrible showing, as both starting running backs will be going on IR following this game. Meanwhile, the Bills saw James Cook run for 104 yards on 14 carries, while Ray Davis added another 63 on 11 carries, while Josh threw the ball one last time for 50 more yards than Purdy, to go along with 2 touchdowns, along with a receiving touchdown on a great play by Amari Cooper, who lateraled the ball he got from Josh back to Josh, so Josh could run it in for the touchdown.
The snow was on the ground and in the sky as Buffalo welcomed San Francisco to their globe. They weren't kind to their guests as they made the 49ers look out of their element as the Dolphins playing in Green Bay. And the Bills clinched the AFC East with the win, 35-10.
The Browns at the Broncos. Jabu was at it again. From his pre-game interview to his words of wisdom to fellow Birmingham area high school star and everything in between, Jameis was an equal opportunity quarterback as he went 34 of 58 for 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, 2 of which came in crunch time at the end of the game, as he gave Jerry Jeudy a warm welcome to the team that drafted him by putting up 235 yards and 1 touchdown on 9 catches, which could have been almost 300 yards if Jameis had hit him on another wide open route where he got behind the defense. Elijah Moore put up 8 for 111 of his own, while David Njoku had 2 touchdowns on 9 catches for 52 yards. Meanwhile, the Broncos defense was at it again on a day where Bo Nix was not very good, but showed up when he was needed, throwing for 18 of 35 for 294 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, with 3 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown going to Marvin Mims, and 6 for 102 to Cortland Sutton. Luckily for Broncos fans and Mike Longfellow, 2 of the 3 interceptions were returned for 6, and Jaleel McLaughlin had some key runs, putting up 84 yards on 14 carries.
In a high-octane Monday night thriller, 2 gunslinging quarterbacks face off, one weathered and one brand new to the game. They combined for almost 800 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. The Broncos were the ones who were able to close as they clinched this victory with their second pick 6 of the game. Final score, Denver 41, Cleveland 32. What a game.
Injury list.
All right, so this week we had some pretty significant injuries. I mentioned some of them already.
I feel injured.
I bet you do. But you're still in it, so all is not lost. But for you, if you make the playoffs, Chris Olave might be back for week 1 of the playoffs,
And
coming back from his concussion and IR, as they are on bye this week, and he's been out for the last 4 weeks.
And you're failing to mention you should segue into the next injury.
Oh, well, maybe. But but for Chris Olave, the thing is that this is his second concussion this year, and it was a really bad concussion. So it's going to kind of come down to a personal decision if he wants to come back. The Saints are not going to make the playoffs, and so it might make more sense for him to just sit out the rest of the year, let his brain get back to where it needs to be, and come into next year fully healthy. Might not matter for you either if you don't make the playoffs.
And if I do, there is one thing going for him, and that is, if you want to jump forward to the tight end, Swiss Army knife,
to Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So I wasn't gonna talk about him next, but yes, Taysom Hill is out for the season. He's on IR. He busted up his knee.
Tore his ACL.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got messed up pretty bad.
Yeah. It was a bad knee injury. He's older. I think he's like 31. He doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires because he hasn't been a starter for most of his career. But coming back from a torn ACL at that age, Stephon Diggs is dealing with the same thing. These days, ACL injuries, guys heal back much better from them. So I would imagine we're going to see them, but getting hurt this late in the season, an ACL tear, it's at least 6-8 months for recovery most of the time. So
It's crazy because he was looking to be such a secret weapon. We are not so secret because we all know who Taysom Hill is, but the way he's been used in the last couple of weeks. I mean, he had that 40-something point game. Then a bye week.
He finally was getting starter reps when it should have been
he was
like
getting
his whole
targets.
career. Like
he was getting quarterback reps.
He's always been
running back
efficient.
reps.
He's always been efficient when he played.
Yeah.
And so it never really made sense to me why he wasn't a starter. I guess like I don't know, whatever. But yeah, out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
probably won't start. Probably won't start the next season.
That's a tough one for Longfellow because he was a real strong weapon going into the playoffs.
Yeah. So let's stick on Longfellow's players. Christian McCaffrey.
Oh.
PCL injury.
I thought you were gonna say piece of.
No.
No, he's a good guy.
I think he's actually pretty nice.
Seems pretty cool.
Yeah. But PCL injury. I think that he's 29. He's had a lot of injuries in his career. I'm seeing some people say that like this might be the end of his career because
Billy mentioned he was talking about retirement last offseason.
Yeah,
so
I mean a knee injury.
maybe that was just a way to get him for next year as a keeper. If Longfellow drops him, we'll see.
But a knee injury this late in the season, it's going to be tough to come back from it. He already missed most of the season with his Achilles.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because in years previous, I remember if you go on IR a second time, your year is officially done. Did that change? Because I haven't heard that. This is the second player to go on IR for the second time.
Yeah,
I mean, I know his season's done, but then I saw something about 6
so.
weeks. So they might.
I would imagine so. I mean, you're right. I don't know. I don't know what those rules are.
They will make the playoffs, and that
I
will
think
be
you're
in his
only
window.
allowed to designate 2 players to return from IR. And so I don't
season.
know if they designated anyone else.
Oh, wow.
So that would also be throw a wrench in it.
And Jordan Mason is a viable person to come off of.
Well, it depends on how bad his ankle injury is.
Which I'm jumping the gun here.
You are. That is the next player who was on Longfellow's team who also went on IR.
Damn, 3 IRs.
3 IRs on one team in 1 week, and one of them is the backup to the other guy who went on IR. It's tough. And there's no way that he's going to be able to get Isaac Guerrero because too many other teams are ahead of him in waivers and
he's the clear. He's the clear ad.
You already said Collins got him on his waivers.
Oh yeah, well
you've got
it.
him on your waivers.
He's on my waivers.
I've got him on my waivers.
Yeah. Sean and Frank probably have them
right because they're still trying to make the playoffs too, and they're not dummies. So I don't see any way that he falls all the way to Longfellow. So he's gonna have to go with a totally different running back. And Taysom Hill was his second tight end, so it's not the biggest loss in the world, but nonetheless, he was a starter.
Super flex.
So then we have Devontae Smith, who was testing out his hamstring before the game this week, which was a good sign for me personally. So there is a good chance that he'll be back this week.
He was a game time decision.
He was.
Doubtful,
I thought that he was going to be like out 2 to 4 weeks. But it looks like he might be back, so that's good for me personally. Then we've got Josh Downs, who will not be helping Colin out this week because they're on bye.
Oh, yeah.
However, he should be back week 15, so if Colin makes the playoffs, then he should be able to have Josh Downs for the playoffs.
Colin's got it good, yo. Win and you're in, man.
Yeah, man. Then we've got Trevor Lawrence, who we mentioned, with a pretty nasty concussion. He'll probably be out for the season. When you're making fencing moves like that.
Oh wait, I didn't realize Trevor Lawrence got hurt.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah, he did. But yeah, when you're making fencing moves like that, it's a bad sign. And the Jaguars aren't making the playoffs, so there's not really much of a reason to bring him back for this season. He's had injuries. He missed a few games anyway with his shoulder, I believe. So it's probably in everyone's best interest to just let his offseason start yesterday. Then we have Ladd McConkey, Laddie boy.
He was everywhere this week.
He's been playing really well. But one thing that I've been reminding Patriots fans when they're pissed off that he wasn't drafted, that they basically traded down to pick Jalen Polk instead of him, is that Ladd McConkey has had injury problems ever since college. He is a trooper, though. and he tends
It's like
to
a George
play,
Kittle, just like always has a Q under his face. Plays
guess,
through it.
Yeah, he plays through it.
Much smaller than
but
George Kittle.
Much smaller. And we're not sure if he will be able to play this week. The comments suggested that it wasn't serious, but he supposedly had an MRI yesterday.
Who is Justin Herbert going to throw it to if not? I mean, I know the other players. I know he's got Quentin Johnson. He's got Will Disley,
who put up a goose egg.
He's got Josh Palmer,
who
sometimes
kind of sucks. Like, yeah, they like John Harbaugh doesn't really want to pass the ball anyway. J.K. Dobbins is out, so that doesn't help things. But I don't know. I will actually come back to that later on.
I just want to flash a stat real quick.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey was 9 for 12 for $117.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnson was 2 for 4 for 12 yards.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer 1 for 1 for 11 yards.
Yeah.
Some dude named Stone Smart 1 catch for 3. Darius Davis 1 for 3. Scott Matlock 1 for 2.
So I mentioned that in
Tucker
the rundown.
Fisk.
I mentioned that in the pun down that Herbert threw for I think 147 yards and 117 of those went to Lad McConkey.
12 of 24 targets.
Yeah.
Damn.
No other receiver had more than 12 yards receiving.
50% target share. That's insane.
Quentin Johnson literally has rocks for hands.
Yeah, he does.
It's not a good look. And like I said, we will be revisiting that later in the episode. So then we have Noah Brown for the Commanders. Is that who he plays for?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a rib injury. If there's no fracture, he should be able to play this week. If there is a fracture, then he'll probably be out for a little while. J.K. Dobbins, MCL. Most MCLs heal without surgery, so there's a possibility he could be back week 17 if you make the championship game. But
you're talking to me. Oh yeah,
yes, I'm talking to you.
I don't know if I'd play him because I'll probably have some backup that's covering for somebody else that's dominating.
Right.
If you make it, which is a possibility.
It is technically
because I'm not dead yet.
But so it's good for him. So if he doesn't get surgery, then he should heal fully this season, which is a good sign for him because he's had injury issues his whole career, basically. Then we've got Romeo Doubs, who had a concussion and will likely be back this week. And Bucky Irving, my guy, who I really need to be healthy. He went out with a hip injury. He missed the last 3 drives. But hopefully he'll be okay for week 14. Going to keep my eye on the injury report. I probably missed someone because I always do.
Yes, I'll fill you in. I just kind of scanned through the league, basically fantasy relevant players. You missed out on Austin Eckler probably because I jumped the gun over there. Austin Eckler was placed on IR due to his second concussion of the season.
Oh, I thought we'd went over that last week.
And then J.K. Dobbins, of course, also you touched upon that you actually just talked about him. So, and then there's several more players that were injured this week that are fantasy relevant. We've got Baker Mayfield, who is dealing with some things. He was pummeled and thrown around this past weekend. Billy's gonna need him because Lamar Jackson's off.
Yeah. I think that he'll probably play this week though.
We'll see, yeah, and I'm sure he will. He's one of those tough,
he's one of those
tough dudes. Dalton Kincaid missing another week after the bye, kind of concerning.
That could go for Keon Coleman too.
Yes, also Keon Coleman, both of them. I think the Bills looked at the weather and saw the snow and said, give him another week.
Yeah,
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping they get another week. Well, I don't really care about Kincaid, but hopefully Keon Coleman's not back this week.
You actually need Kincaid to lose. It's better for you. If Kincaid doesn't play or doesn't play well, it's better for you.
Okay.
You need to root against me this week.
Oh, well,
in other words,
I shall. Thank you for letting me know that.
Then Roshan Johnson was knocked out on Thanksgiving Day. Literally concussed. It wasn't even a play to him. It was he was blocking, got concussion. Alexander Madison looking to reprise his role as the starting running back this coming week. We'll see what's up with that. DK Metcalf, questionable coming into the week. What's going on with him now? Let's see. DK Metcalf, he tweaked his knee. He's not practicing right now.
I wonder if he's fed up with the Seahawks because he's coming into a contract year.
This has been like a
And-
year and a half question, dude.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
be honest, it's
as
like-
a Pats fan, I'm really, really hoping he is, because I really want for them to trade for him.
yeah.
He would be amazing with Drake May.
And then this is good for Colin. Looks like Demarcus Robinson, who he's facing this week, had a hand injury in that shootout with the Rams and the Saints. Calvin Austin, who's emerging on the Steelers,
That's a good
he
one.
left with an injury. He got knocked. It looks like it was a concussion. So, yeah, that makes sense. And then Rashad Bateman didn't play this week. He's off. He's got a
So
bye.
these are all guys who are technically fantasy relevant, but not really, because no one's really starting Calvin Austin.
There's some others.
All right.
CD Lamb. That's a
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
big
I mean,
one.
But he's been
questionable.
on the injury report every week for the
But
last like 3
if you
weeks.
watch the game on Thanksgiving, he sat out like the last quarter and a half and was because he tweaked. He got like a couple injuries apparently. He
Eesh.
wasn't feeling good. He wasn't looking good. That sucks for your team because he's one of your stalwarts as your first pick.
Yep.
And then as we go down the list, Jake Ferguson's still being held out. Matt Stafford is actually questionable, probably just because he's sore and old. We covered Lad McConkey and Josh Jacobs dealing with some soreness from the other day. So you guys might want to keep an eye on that, especially because waivers run tonight. And there's not a lot of players going around this week, being that there's 6 buys. Cedric Tillman also missed his second week due to concussion. So other than that, you got everything. I just ran through it all. So anyways.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just jump into what I've been, cringing about all morning.
Oh yeah, you've been dreading.
I
this
was
part?
late today because I just didn't want to come hear this shit. So Pascal, why don't we do the PETA rundown and you could start it off.
All right.
By the way, the winner of our matchup this week gets to read the matchup, and the loser got to read the Loser's Bowl. So you'll be hearing that from me shortly.
Giggity.
Moving on.
So, East Coast Virus versus Punk Syndrubling. In this week's most pivotal battle for playoff seeding, 8th placed East Coast Virus attempted to take on 10th placed Punk Syndrubling, with 1 game separating us. Actually, it was a half game separating us.
No, it was one full game.
Yeah, well.
Now it's
Starting out on Thanksgiving Day, East Coast Virus leapt out to an early lead behind a subpar showing from Amon-Ra St. Brown, who put up 12.3 points against the Bears. Hoping to make the Sun God pay, CD Lamb pooped in his sheets by dropping 3 passes while only catching 2, en route to his lowest point total of the season with 5.9 in the afternoon game.
I thought I was in the money.
Luckily for me, the evening game had Devon Achane put up 21 points and Jalen Waddle another 11 for a comfortable lead as Thanksgiving came to a close. Throwing darts in the dark by picking up Noah Gray over Dalton Schultz
3 minutes
ended up
before the game.
working against Brendan, as Gray put up 9.8 points on Friday compared to Schultz's 17 points on Sunday. But it pissed me off that he got more targets on Friday than he had in any other game this season. Coming into Sunday's matchup, it was anyone's week to be had. 18.7 points for Brian Thomas Jr. after Trevor Lawrence got taken out had me cussing out his former Patriots QB. But 15 from Kyler, 12 from Ramondre, 6.6 from Ken Walker, 12 from Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6.5 for Calvin Ridley, 13 for John Parker Romo, and 5 from the Vikings defense left Brendan with 111 points, which had me about 30 points behind after Hunter Henry put up 14.5, Demario Douglas gave me 6, and Kaimi Fairbairn matched Romo's 13 during the 1 o'clock window, with my heavy hitters still to come. In the 4 o'clock games, Bucky Irving continued to roll to the tune of 28 points, despite missing the last few drives with a hip injury, while Rashad White gave me 9 and the Bucks defense added 3 points. 18 points from Jalen Hurts would put me over the top, 128-62 to 111-40, as Punksin Drublick hops into 8th place and East Coast Virus drops out of the playoffs to 9th place with 1 game to go.
Oh, great. What a week. Versus, hold on one sec, dude. Great. Versus, steal your face mask. All right. This matchup began on Thanksgiving night as Steal Your Face Mask feasted with Jonnu Smith's 21.3. As Great must have thought to himself, why did I have that extra plate and why did I bench Tua's 25.2? Luckily, Great had a Friday afternoon stud who made the weekend much more appetizing as Brock Bowers once again goes off for 30.2. It certainly made the return of Isaiah Pacheco less shitty as he only puts up 5.9. To add insult to injury, Steal Your Face Mask had the Kansas City defense who put up a week 6. A week 6 in week 13. Come Sunday, both teams were in a good position to have a good week, and they did. The Jets wide receivers went head up as Collins Devontae Adams outscores Bills Garrett Wilson by 8.5. Joe Burrow got beat up, losing 2 fumbles and throwing a pick while getting sacked 4 times, but was able to salvage his day with 3 TDs and just under 20 fantasy points. Lamar Jackson gets some super garbage time points to finish above 25. Steal Your Face Mask keeper running backs outscore Great starting backs 35.6 to 27.8. His flex also outscores his opponent's flex 25.5 to 19.8. Both kickers put up a solid 16 each, and Houston's defense only grabs 3. Dallas Goedert proved to be the difference as he finishes with just 12.5. Come Sunday night, it came down to Amari Cooper, who Billy needed 11.4 out of to take the victory in the snow. Although he was involved in a hook and ladder touchdown play, the fantasy points all went to quarterback Josh Allen. And as the Bills had already dominated their opponent, there was little to no need for Cooper to see any more targets, as Colin pulls off the needed victory to keep his playoff hopes alive, 154.26 to 147.08. Colin falls from 9th to 10th, but it is okay because he is in a position to win, and he's in as Bill sits up there in the playoffs, somewhere up there. I didn't check.
Actually, Bill stays in 3rd, but now is tied with 2 other teams at 7 and 3, I believe.
7 and 6.
7 and 6.
Yeah,
right.
he's in 4th. Aggie in 5th
Right, I meant
at 7
4th.
and 6,
That's
and
right.
Jay at 6 and 7 and 6.
Yeah.
But they're all in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Screw you guys. Just
So-
kidding. Good job.
I fucks your mom versus the Milfuckers. Hold on. Run that back.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Oh man,
You just hate me.
All right, ready?
I blame you.
The Sex Bowl.
I fucks your mom versus the Milfuckers. In an exciting game that had very little playoff ramifications other than seeding, I fucks your mom loses to our first place team, the Milfuckers, 140.64 to 151.16. Scott started out the action on Thanksgiving with 15.4 points from David Montgomery, which was followed up by a huge 21.3 points from Rico Dowdle in the afternoon game. Aggie did not have any starters play Thursday other than the Bears D, who gave him 4 points. However, Dalvin Cook once again put up 0 points on his bench, as Aggie was propelled in Friday's matchup by 13 points from D-Hop and 13.8 from Travis Kelce to trail 30.8 to 36.7 going into Sunday's games. In the 1 o'clock games, Aggie got a great start with 28 points from Jaden Daniels, 25 points from Najee Harris, and 11 points from Cameron Dicker, but was overshadowed by fuckers with 25.5 from Bijan Robinson, 17.9 from T. Higgins, 17.3 from Drake London, 21.6 from Trey McBride, and 14 from the Seahawks D. Going into the afternoon games, it was pretty much over, and Zay Flowers didn't do much to help, as he put up 10 points against Justin Tucker's 9 points for Sean. Scott. Let me go back here. The Sunday night game didn't help Aggie any, as Debo only put up 4 points in a blizzard, as Brock Purdy and Khalil Shakir combined for 9 points. Ooh. While it might have been smart for Aggie to start Jerry Jeudy, who has 5 double-digit games in a row and put up what would have been a game-winning 40 points on Monday night, instead of Debo, who hasn't had a double-digit game since Week 10, that's a hard choice to make when considering name recognition. Aggie is still in 5th place, but misses out on an opportunity to move up to 4th, as Scott is now locked into the number 1 slot heading into the playoffs.
Ooh. Boston Bulldogs versus G-Men's Crusaders. This matchup created a ripple effect for those trying to get into the fantasy playoffs. With a win, Boston Bulldogs would clinch a playoff spot. With a loss, both G-Men's Crusaders and Boston Bulldogs would still have hope. With teams breathing down their necks, it all started off on Thanksgiving, where each team had a plethora of players playing on TVs across the nation. G-Men's Crusaders started the day with a stack of Jared Goff and Sam Laporta, who connected for 2 touchdowns, but only a combined total of 32.54. How is that? Guess that's what you get for 3 catches for 6 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yikes. Babalu also started Detroit's defense, who looked to have a wonderful game before the Bears' big, comeback. They only put up 6. On the other side, Boston Bulldogs was relying heavily on the Bears as they started both DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen, who combined for 33.7. He left 26.14 on the bench with Caleb Williams. Starting him would have helped the digestion process, I'm sure. He looked to add to his lead with Tyrone Tracy and the Dallas kicker, who ended up combining for 23.5 and finished the day with 8 out of the Green Bay defense. He had the lone Black Friday player in Patrick Mahomes, who put up just under 17, respectable for Patrick Mahomes. The Boston Bulldogs went into Sunday with a large lead, but G-Men's Crusaders had some opportunities to crawl back. With 51 combined points from 3 of his 4 running backs in Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, and Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards held him back with a measly 4.3. Darnell Mooney's 5 and Breece Hall's 6 kept the Bulldogs from running away with this one, as A.J. Brown did okay with 11.6. And Mark Andrews put him in the driver's seat with 18.9 leading into Sunday night. This one, similar to Billy and Collins' matchup, went into Sunday night's game with Jay up by just under 12 points, with Babalu putting up emerging wide receiver Juwan Jennings. The Snow Bowl relegated Jennings to just 5 targets, in which he caught 3 of for 56 yards. Boston Bulldogs punches his playoff ticket with the win, 123.34 to 120.04. And Babalu stays in 7th place. With a loss this week, he will be eliminated.
Catch This Fade versus Salute Your Short Fellows. In the shortest matchup of this week, height-wise, it's another matchup that didn't have any effect on the playoffs. Catch This Fade lost to Salute Your Short Fellows 120.86 to 135.68. CTF started out Thanksgiving Day with an underwhelming performance from Jahmyr Gibbs, who put up 10.4 points, and Jake Bates with 11. Neither team had anyone else play Thursday or Friday, so they opened up Sunday with CTF having a 21-point lead. Marv got good performances from Justin Jefferson with 17 points, Nico Collins with 20, and George Pickens with 16, but got stinkers from TJ Hawkinson with 6 points and the Commanders' D with 7 points. The shortest fellow in this matchup, however, got a huge game from Terry McLaurin with 27, and okay games from James Conner with 11, and 9.7 points from Taysom Hill, which also came with a season-ending knee injury, which would end up being a trend and an unfortunate win for Mike. For the 4 o'clock game, Catch This Fade got a disappointing showing from Chuba Hubbard with 2.3 points as he shares the backfield with rookie Jonathan Brooks, who was on Short Fellow's bench, as he got a huge game from Mike Evans with 26 points to keep things close going into Sunday night. That's when disaster struck for Mike's team. CMC put up 9 points before a PCL injury took him out for what is likely the rest of the season and might be career-ending at this age. George Kittle only put up 1.7, and CMC's backup Jordan Mason, who was on Mike's bench, went out with an ankle injury of his own that will also put him on injured reserve for the rest of the season. Compared to the 19 points that James Cook put up for Catch This Fade, things were looking dire for Salute Your Short Fellows entering Monday Night Football, with CTF having Bo Nix going up against kicker Will Lutz and the Broncos D. Unfortunately for Marv, Bo Nix put up a stinker with 12 points, as Lutz scored 11 and the Broncos got 2 pick sixes to score 20 points despite giving up 32 and 550 yards. Marv now has given up his first place spot for good and will need to win in Week 14 to avoid potentially slipping down to third place, where Mike currently resides.
Captain Cannabis versus the Auto Draftees. Lose and you're done. Win and you're probably still done. This was the situation for the 2 last place teams sharing a 3-9 record. The Auto Draftees had a significant amount of players going on Thanksgiving Day. It began with DJ Moore hammering down a touchdown with little time left in the week's first game, finishing with 23.7. He followed that up with a struggling Dallas defense who luckily drew an even more struggling Giants offense, and they put up 17 with a TD of their own. He then had Tyreek Hill versus Josh Jacobs in the evening game. Both, of course, scored TDs. And Frank was rising high with 4 separate players scoring Thanksgiving touchdowns. Seems like Frank always gets that holiday luck. Remember when he won the championship off of a Alvin Kamara 6-touchdown performance on Christmas Day a few years back? I certainly do. It was against me. Anywho, Sean was able to stay in the game with the great showings from the Steelers D with 15, Ladd McConkey with 20.7, Puka Nacua with 17.3, and a weak showing from the Auto Draftees Justin Herbert with under 8 points. Tank Dell with 3.3, and Aaron Jones with only 9.8 and a touchdown? Huh? Sean went into Sunday Night Football down about 45 when Josh Allen did his best to eliminate the gap, finishing with 28.5 points. The match wasn't done come Monday Night Football as Captain Cannabis put up Cortland Sutton against the Auto Draftees David Njoku, with Frank leading by 15.36. Sutton puts up just enough to take the lead, finishing with 16.2, but let's not forget about Njoku, who erupted for 26.2, clinching this one for Frank. 155.88 to 130.52.
We had some good matchups this week. Things were really close in a lot of games. Came down to the wire. Not so much our game.
Yeah, our
but-
game was frustrating. I had everyone go at 1 o'clock, and I
No,
was like,
it wasn't.
"What the?"
It wasn't that frustrating actually.
But
it was- it
but
was
but playing
pretty-
all
it
your
was pretty
players,
okay.
playing all your players before, like, finishing your week before 4 o'clock is like such a bad move. It doesn't matter
I
if you have the
mean-
best players. It's such a shit move. Like,
I don't know.
I couldn't figure it out.
I've had it before where that happened, and my
That's
guys
why
put up
we're-
big numbers.
That's why
and-
we are where we're at.
Yeah, I guess so, right?
It's just, it's nice to have 1 or 2 guys in the 4 o'clock or the Sunday night or the Monday
yeah,
night.
with Monday.
It was
have
very
a little
tough.
hope if you need
You know,
it.
you usually don't get those big heavy hitters in the early games sometimes, but it just sucks watching everyone go at the same time and all just stay in the mud.
Yeah, that sucks.
Let's talk about some good shit. Superlative rundown. Okay. So let's talk about the breadwinners of the week. We had 2 of them last night, actually, surprisingly. 3 of them last night. Wow, I had to change this up a little bit. Quarterback Jameis Winston. What's his nickname?
Jabu.
Jabu. He is the best. I love Jameis Winston. He is so awesome.
He really is.
He's so fun. Jameis Winston, 32.98, leading all quarterbacks this week. Running back Bucky Irving, who
Yeah.
was the bane of my existence this week, put up 27.5. Screw you, Bucky. Wide receiver, it was Terry McLaurin, but he was beat out by 13 points for Jerry Judy's 40.5
Sitting on the bench.
on his old squad. He made it rain shit. Even though the Broncos won, Jerry Judy,
Also won.
yeah. Although I did watch an after game interview with him, and he was pissed off like crazy.
Well, you want to actually win the game, but
He
putting up 200 yards
in
still feels all right.
255. It was insane. He
No, 235.
235.
Yeah.
Saquon was 255 last week. That's
Yeah.
right.
But,
But-
that was one of the biggest games of all time against former team.
Yeah.
It was like he was like one of 3.
He was the biggest. It
Was it the?
It was the
Yeah.
biggest. It was
Yeah.
it was over. There was a Patriot on there. I can't remember who it was.
Was it?
Let's not. It was Randy Moss against the Vikings.
Okay. Sounds about right.
And then he was second, and then I forgot who third was. But for the tight end, once again, Brock Bowers, the Raiders rookie phenom with 30.2.
Outstanding.
Good pickup, Colin. Shit, we're gonna cover him later. Kickers, Chris Boswell, Chase McLaughlin, and Chad Ryland all share the spotlight with 16 points.
Former Patriot Chad Ryland, 4th round pick. Oof.
And Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and Arizona's kickers looking good. Boswell remains in first. And the Denver Broncos defense.
Not remains. He would be back in first because last week
that's
my guy
right.
Kaimi was in first. Let's see. Are we back in first or back in second?
Let's find out.
He's still in first,
Still in
but his
first.
bye is this week. So
But he hasn't had his bye
he has
yet.
not had his bye.
Well,
yet.
let's look at Boswell. I'm curious now. We must check it out. Let's see if he's tied for first or if he has that big old 2. Yeah, he has a 1 next to his name.
Okay.
So let's look at the stats real quick to confirm. Boswell has 148 total points.
148 total points for Kaimi.
Damn. Sounds like Boswell is going to take it unless
he gets a goose, but that's highly unlikely.
Hey, there's 5 games left in the season, so we'll see. It's
Oh,
a
that's
good-
right. I'm thinking the season's over this week because it probably is for me.
Yeah, it seems it. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's really close. Why don't you tell us about bunch of bullshit that happened this week in the
I sure can,
largest,
my friend.
Smallest victory.
The largest margin of victory goes to the auto draftees over Captain Cannabis. 155.88 to 130.52 for a margin of 25.36 points. Congrats, Frank. You cannot finish as the toilet bowl of the week. That will be going to Sean. Or of the year, sorry.
And to top that off, what's
I'm getting
incredible.
there. I'm getting there. Oh, what?
No, what's incredible is Frank broke his losing streak. He had a losing streak
right.
of 9 games.
Yeah. Congrats. That's
Or
gotta feel
8 or 9 games?
8 or 9, something like that. That's got to feel good.
Damn.
The closest matchup of the week was Boston Bulldogs over G-Men's Crusaders, 123.34 to 120.04 for a 3.3 point margin.
Let me just say here, if Jay lost to Babalu, they would both have a one. They would both be 6 and 7. Colin, you and I would be 5 and 8, and things would look much different.
Sure would.
Now,
Luckily, he didn't, and now I'm in the playoffs
it's very-
for at least
it's-
1 week.
it's so frustrating because Jay. I don't know if you beat Jay. I beat Jay.
No,
You
I
lost to
lost
Jay the week before I beat Jay,
What do I have?
and I think
4?
Colin beat Jay.
How many wins do I have? 4, 5?
5. We all have 5. Yeah.
Right, so I beat
Me.
I beat you. I beat Billy twice. I beat Baba, and then maybe I beat Aggie. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. But what's interesting is because you beat Baba.
Aren't we getting there in a little
Oh
bit?
yeah,
Can't we wait?
I'm so excited.
I know. Simmer down.
Sema.
All right. So give them their flowers and $25 at some point in history. We'll see when.
We'll see.
The auto draftees. Congrats, Frank. You might not make the playoffs, but this is back-to-back weeks that our 2 lowest
Hey.
teams are getting the highest score.
How
So
about
at
it?
least you're not leaving with nothing.
Nice, man.
Frank
nice.
scored 155.88 as one of 3 teams scoring over 150 this week.
I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who hasn't won the $25 this season.
Oh, that'd be interesting to find out.
I have a chart.
But you did make the list, Brendan, for the wet fart of the week.
I did. Didn't expect that.
But you scored a not so horrible 111.4. So not bad. At least you were above 100 points, which a lot of us can't say for making the wet fart this year. So I'm not too disappointed in you. I'm kind of happy that you got the wet fart. So thank you.
Super shitty wet fart of the week. Moving forward. The energy is just not hitting right now.
I'm feeling good.
Ah,
You should have got an energy drink for today.
Yeah, I should. I didn't just because I didn't. I just wanted to get through with this really fast. Then again, it's slower when I don't have my energy drink.
Right.
Okay.
That's inverse Brendan.
For a keeper alert, injuries have dwindled down to just Week 7's injury of Brandon Ayuk, which will continue to be on this list, and Week 10's Dalton Kincaid knee injury, which proved to keep him out this week. Nobody was injured in terms of keepers this week. Nobody was benched in terms of keepers this week. Raheem Mostert still dropped by Babalu. That's not going to change. Dalton Kincaid and Mark Andrews being traded. That's not going to change. We didn't have any keepers on bye, and the keeper of the week was the Thanksgiving Day celebration from DJ Moore with 23.7. Now tell us about the other shit we got to hear about.
All right. I'm looking
The
forward
winners.
to this. Yes, sir. Oh, I went too far ahead. All right. So, starting out with Punksin Drublick. Actually, you know what? Punksin Drublick.
Congratulations.
Thank y'all. Devon Achane scored 21 compared to 16.6 expected. And Rashad White scored 8.8 as compared to 11.2 expected for 2 over expectation. Boston Bulldogs
Congratulations.
had Breece Hall score 6 points compared to 17.2 expected, and Dalton Kincaid, who is currently on your team, was still hurt, scoring nothing for 11.2 under expectation. The MILF fuckers
Congratulations.
had Brock Purdy in a blizzard score 2.2 compared to 17.2 expected, and Drake London scored 17.3 compared to 16 expected for 13.8 under expectation because they don't know what to expect in a blizzard. Salute your short fellows.
Congratulations.
had CJ Stroud score 14.4 compared to 16.9 expected, and George Kittle, also in the blizzard, score 1.7 as compared to 12.5 expected for 13.4 under expectation. The auto draftees
Congratulations.
had Alvin Kamara score 15.9 compared to 19.1 expected. That's a lot. And DJ Moore scored 23.7 as compared to 13.4 expected for 7.1 over expectation.
Great. Congratulations.
Still has Brandon Ayuk on IR for an expectation of IR. And Isaiah Pacheco came back from IR to score 5.9 points compared to 9.3 expected for 3.4 under expected.
All right, now we're going to cover the losers. First, we have
Catch this fade.
You loser.
Catch His Fade had James Cook with 19.0, 6 points over expected, and Nico Collins with 19.9, which is 2 points over his expectation, totaling 8 points over his expectation. Next, we have
East Coast virus.
You loser.
who played Kyler Murray, scoring 15.2, which is 2 points under his expectation, and Mark Andrews, who scored 18.9 on Boston Bulldogs team, which is 10 points over his expectation, which leads East Coast Virus with 8 points over his expected value. Too bad it didn't actually play for him. Next, we have
Steal your face mask.
You loser.
who played Jonathan Taylor, who boasted up with 17.3, 3 points over expectation, and Kyron Williams, who put up 18.3, which is 1.5 over expectation, leaving Billy at 4.5 over expectation. Next, we have
Captain Cannabis.
You loser.
who put up Puka Nacua, who put up 17.3, which is 1 point more than his expected value, leaving Captain Cannabis with 1 point over expected value. Next, we have
G-Men's Crusaders.
Thanks for being a loser.
who put up Raheem Mostert, who is not even on his team anymore, who put up 5.4, which is 2 points over his expected value.
Woof.
And Sam Laporta, who put up 15.6, which is 6 points over his expected value, leaving G-Men's Crusaders at 8 points over expected value. Last but yes least, we have
I fucks your mom.
You loser.
who put up Zay Flowers, who put up 10.10, which is 4 points under his expected value, and Debo Samuel, who put up 4 points, which is 7.5 points under his expected value, leaving Aggie at
11.5 under expected value. Terrible.
I'm so disappointed we didn't do that this whole year. That was hilarious.
Well, there's always next year, Pascal.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, which is
Straight out.
Who Are You Out On? And Who Are You In On? Let's just talk straight drops. I got a whole list. I got a laundry list.
All right. Looks like you got more guys than I do. Are any of them double ups? It doesn't look like it. So, oh, they are. So you take off your last guy and you get started.
Okay. You mean Harrison Butt Turds?
Yes. Why couldn't you just let me? Come on, man. Damn.
Sorry, I just like saying butt turds.
Now I have one less guy on my straight drops list.
Sorry, you could talk about it.
I will.
Straight drop, Kyle Pitts. It's only because he is just so over and over again underwhelming his fantasy owners. He put up a goose this week. He has put up single digits probably almost every week except two. He's a great player. He needs to move.
No.
No.
He is not a great player.
He's a great player. He just needs
He has
a
great
new home.
talent. I saw a video with him like running a route where he really just did not try at all. And effort is probably why he's so trash.
He needs a new home.
Cuzzo, we're probably not actually cousins, but you share a last name with my grandma. Come on, man.
Come on, dude.
Do something.
You're built like
Do
a
something.
tight end. Let's start being one.
I mean, built like a tight end, athletic like a wide receiver. What's up, bro?
Work ethic like questionable.
All right, so
Okay.
yeah, my first drop is Tyjae Spears. Tony Pollard has it locked down, and he scored like 0.8 points this week. Yeah, he put up like 11 points a couple weeks ago when I think that Tony Pollard went out with an injury, but he's not doing anything.
He's just a handcuff. He should be only owned by the Tony Pollard manager.
Yeah, basically.
My next straight drop is recently traded for in fantasy and reality, Deontay Johnson. He wasn't even active this week, dude.
I feel like one of the two of us called this outcome
I feel like Billy lost that trade.
big time,
But-
especially if Baker doesn't play this week, then it was just the worst trade possible. But Cortland Sutton really could have helped him out last few weeks when
That's
Billy's
true.
been sliding.
Yeah. He's on bye this week, so really it would just be a loss of who was the other guy he gave up?
It was Kareem Hunt, not a
Kareem
huge
Hunt,
loss,
okay.
but still, Cortland
Some
Sutton has
value.
been balling, and he would be able to use them in the playoffs.
True.
All right, so my straight drop, my next one is, as you mentioned, Harrison Butt Turds. Yeah, he went into the kitchen, made a sandwich, slipped and fell.
Wait, what's his name?
Harrison Butt Turds.
Yeah. Why keep a kicker who's on IR? I get it. You're going to make the playoffs. He's probably a better option when he comes back from IR, but still, like, you can stream kickers. You'll be okay.
Not on a team that's averaging teenage points per game.
True.
My next straight drop goes to Alan Lazard. He's on IR.
He's on someone's
He's
team.
in Jay's reserve slot since like week 3.
He's a Jets fan. He's just doing that to
yeah, but
be a fan.
I think Jay has a new guy on IR. It actually might be Harrison Butturds, isn't it?
No. Butt Turds, who is he playing
Is that
for?
Scott?
No, I think it's Aggie.
Somebody that
I
just
forget.
needs to drop.
Yeah, it's just
Either way,
maybe Scott. I forget.
Jay,
It's
you're gonna want to just.
someone who makes no sense whatsoever.
Alan Lazard just texted me and I quote. It says, "Release me."
Yeah, it's Frankie boy,
Frankie.
who has Harrison Butker on IR. You're not making the playoffs, buddy. There's no reason for him to be on your team. All right,
keep
so
him there.
my next guy is someone who I mentioned earlier, Dalvin Cook.
Ah, yes. Once again.
Aggie, like, I know you're in the playoffs, and like, I guess that like someone is threatening to kill your dog if you, maybe Dalvin Cook is threatening to kill your dog if you drop him from your fantasy team. But Dalvin Cook lives far away.
We got your back, dude. Your dog's super cute.
I don't have your back because you also live far enough away that I just won't be able to make it up there.
Just send a text.
But
Gotcha.
you can drop Dalvin Cook. I promise you, if you want him back, you can pick him back up.
Oh, and just to confirm, Jay does have another player on IR in the name of Austin Eckler. So, I mean, Austin Eckler just looks better to have in your reserve slot,
Even
though
though he's probably
nobody's
out for the
doing
rest of
shit
the
for
season
you.
too.
Exactly. He might come back for championship week. We
Yeah.
shall see. My next straight drop goes to Dalvin Cook. We're beating
really?
that
Hold on.
over the head.
Really? We
Yeah.
did that?
Yeah, it's all right. I'll skip forward and
No,
put,
you stole my guy.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did. You
No.
don't have
Dalvin Cook's there, number 4 on the list.
Eckler on your list.
No, but Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, but you said Eckler.
No, I said Dalvin Cook. I said Eckler. Jay has him because Lazard is in his IR. So,
see?
yeah.
And here we go.
And here we go.
My next guy is who I just thought that you shitted on me with, Austin Eckler.
Good
Because he's on IR. He's, I think, 31. He's had concussion problems in his career, and his season is likely done. He, like you said, he might be back for...
In comparison, he has more value than Alan Lazard. So, I mean, you have your reserve slot.
Sure.
You're better off just
but
putting
you
him
can
there.
probably drop both of them.
Probably drop both of them and pick up somebody else like, I don't know,
Like McNichols, who you just dropped.
McNichols.
Right,
Or
like-
Ray McLeod. Oh, no, he's on somebody's roster, isn't
I
he?
think so. Yeah, you got other options, though. Like,
NWI, not with incident, Nikhil Westbrook Akina, who probably will have a
Well,
goose soon.
isn't he on?
Colin's
Colin's
team.
team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin dropped somebody else from. We tried to figure that out last week and forgot. So, anyways, moving on. It's like pointless conversation.
Is it my turn now?
No, actually, it's my turn. You just did
Okay.
Eckler.
All right,
I'm
for
gonna go with Taysom Hill just because there's no coming back this year. Maybe not next year. Maybe not ever.
He's not a keeper, so.
Yeah. So, Mike, drop it like it's hot.
All right, and then I have as my last straight drop Cam Akers. So Cam Akers is not getting much play, even with Aaron Jones having fumbling problems. There's really no point in having him on your team. I think Colin has him.
He does. Who was the other backup in Minnesota?
I don't even know.
Yeah. So
it's is it Emmanuel Wilson? I think
no, that's the Packers.
That's the Packers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It's really questionable because Cam Akers could emerge if Aaron Jones has injury. So I mean, you might, if there's somebody else better than him, but he's really just a wait to see type of guy.
Yeah.
And my last straight drop will be Matt Gay. Matt Gay, the kicker for the Colts. I forgot whose roster he's on, but he's Matt Gay. I mean, Matt Gay, my bad. Matt Gay is a second kicker on, I think, Frank's roster. I really should have wrote this down.
Yes, you should.
But yeah, it's not Frank's roster. Shoot. Once again, we're going to have to rifle through. It's probably Aggies. And it is not Aggies
It's
either.
not Aggie.
Perfect.
Here, look at us. Not ready. It is Sean. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Sean, you could get another player, play keep away from other teams.
At least this one made sense. He's on bye this week, so he's got McPherson in his starting spot now. But yeah, I mean, why drop him? Why help out playoff teams? Might as well hold on to him
the
at this
Colts
point.
are not going to be
No, but
moving
he's
the
out.
ball down
Sean's
the field.
out.
No, I
Doesn't-
know, but I'm saying why
Yeah.
have him at all ever?
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, you got any more?
No.
No. All
That's
right,
it.
cool. Let's move on to our straight drop question. How many of you got of those?
2.
I got two too.
Oh,
You want to start off?
You got a 2-2?
2-2 Atwell.
You doing Balleray?
Yeah, I do Balleray just like most NFL stalwarts.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Manly man. All right.
The receiving core.
So my first straight drop question, these two players are not on the same team.
Okay.
However, who would you rather drop? Chuba Hubbard or Tank Dell?
The answer to that question is Tank Dell.
Okay.
I think that Chuba Hubbard at least has some of that backfield, while Tank Dell doesn't seem to have any of that wide receiver room. I mean, he is technically the number 2 receiver, but when Dalton Schultz, who hasn't even scored above 9 fantasy points this entire season, 9.5, scores a touchdown and you're sitting there at 3.3 and it's not one of those snowy games, like, I'm just going to say Tank Dell, it's been nice knowing you. You had a great rookie year. Colin's super thrilled that he didn't keep him. He was like his keeper in like probably the entire offseason. It was all about Tank Dell. What a dud. He will probably win some dud awards. So yeah, I'm going to go with dropping Tank like it's hot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Tank Dell has had the better last few weeks. And Shuba's sharing time with Jonathan Brooks, who was a second-round pick.
I guess my reasoning lays more heavily that running backs are at a premium and wide receivers could be found anywhere. Tank Dell is just, there's probably 6 or 7 guys that I'd rather have that are free agents than Tank Dell right now.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let's keep the war going. My straight drop question: Tank Bigsby or Travis Etienne?
Ooh, the Tanks.
If you had them both, who would you drop?
Ooh, that's tough. Tank Bigsby was a guy that I was really disappointed in dropping earlier in the season, and then he ended up not doing very much after about the first third of the season. Travis Etienne just hasn't really done anything at all this year. I guess I would have to say, is Tank Bigsby hurt or is he back to full health?
I think he's back to full health. I think
I think I'm going with Tank Bigsby.
To drop?
No, sorry. No. I'm keeping Tank Bigsby. I'm dropping Travis Etienne just because Mac Jones is going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year. If their offensive staff is smart at all, they'll be trying to run the ball a lot. And so that leans towards Bigsby. Travis Etienne, doesn't really matter who's in. He's just not producing. It looks like he was a bust of a first-round pick. So I think I'm dropping Travis.
I had Travis Etienne drafted up till last night in Jay's league, where I was able to scoop up Isaac Guerrero somehow and drop Travis Etienne because, as we all know, that is not a waiver setup like the rest.
Yeah, Tank Bigsby hasn't had a double-digit game since week 8. But he's coming back from injury. They just had the bye last week, or the week before, week 12.
Yeah.
And the Titans don't have the best run defense, so I'm hoping he goes off this week against you.
In respect to the Isaac Guerrero pickup that I just made in Jay's league, it was either Rachaad White or Travis Etienne, which I kind of struggled with, and I decided to keep White.
That was smart. I mean,
just a better
especially
team.
If Bucky is hurt, then Rachaad White's going to get a lot of play.
Very true.
All right, so my next question is, do you drop Deontay Johnson or Wendell Robinson?
Deontay Johnson. Wendell Robinson at least is on the field. I mean, yeah, you don't know who's going to throw to you that day. Drew Lock is not terrible. Tommy Cutlets actually could throw somewhat a pass that could be caught by a receiver who's an NFL receiver. The little guy, Wandale, gets peppered with targets while Deontay Johnson, I mean, you asked me this 5 weeks ago. Of course, it's Deontay over Wandale, but for rest of season, I see Wandale scoring probably 5 times, if not more points than Deontay Johnson, which is not saying a lot. He could do that with scoring 5 points.
5 times 0 is still 0.
Damn it. Well, or more.
I think I would go the other way. I think I'd keep Deontay just because he has a higher ceiling technically, even though he didn't play this week. I saw a report that he is insurance for if Zay Flowers gets hurt, and Zay Flowers is a small guy, and he could get hurt. Billy's in the playoffs, and Zay could get hurt this week, and then all of a sudden Deontay has a bunch of value.
So there's a reason to keep Deontay.
Wandale, I just don't think that he's going to do anything with Drew Lock and Tommy Cutlets. There's not really much option for him to have a good game, so I think that he's actually more of a droppable player than Deontay.
Yeah, I just feel like he doesn't have too much ahead of him, whereas Deontay has a lot to get through because there's so many offensive performers on that Ravens team.
Yeah.
My last straight drop question is a rookie running back question.
Ooh.
Kimani Vidal or Audric Estime?
Can I drop both of them?
Which we both have on our benches right now. Let's hear the bias.
I guess, the bias is I think I'm dropping Estime because Vidal, at least there is a pecking order. The starter in Dobbins is out. Edwards didn't really do anything.
Nobody did in the
right
game.
So and what's his face? Lad McConkey might be out. And so there's a very good chance that they're going to be running the heck out of the ball the next few weeks. And so at least Vidal has some options there. Whereas Audric Estime, Jaleel McLaughlin, he showed that he's a pretty good runner. And then you've got Javonte Williams, who has also shown that he's pretty good. Estime just,
and
don't think.
And some random dude who ran in a touchdown that was like, who's that guy?
Right. And then Bo Nix, he runs the ball, and they've been throwing the ball all over the field, even when Nix isn't really playing that well. So Estime has got to be the guy you drop.
So we'll say Jaleel McLaughlin over Kimani Vidal, though.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
For certain.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not starting either one, but I'll keep him on my
Might have
roster.
to start Jaleel this week.
I mean,
depending on who gets him, because he's going to be a waiver pickup.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be sought after in the first round of waivers
Yeah. Maybe.
because Isaac Guerendo's going first. We all know that.
Yep.
We'll see how it lays out. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays into the playoff contention.
Yeah,
and
people's
race.
needs make the waivers look funky. That's how Marvellus ended up with
Quarterback.
Matt Stafford and then Bo Nix in back-to-back weeks.
Well, I'll tell you how some of us ended up with some of these players as the trading block finalized trades. My gift of Dalton Kincaid and Chris Olave still out. Not getting any points with that.
Yeah.
Mark Andrews continues dominating, putting up 18.9. DeAndre Swift not so much with 9.4, but it's more than 0.
Yeah.
So
Infinitely.
we can say Boston Bulldogs. Let's just finalize the win. Boston Bulldogs wins the trade.
Oh, he won that trade
He
weeks
won
ago.
it every week since.
He
There was
won it
one.
in the first week he won it, and then they went on by, and then he won.
I had an
Oh, no,
18-point game out of Olave,
Olave's still
and then a
on
negative 0.5 game.
IR.
I had probably 9 or 12 out of Kincaid, maybe. I don't know.
No.
Whatever.
Horrible
Who cares?
trade by you.
Terrible. It wasn't that bad. Like in
No. Horrible.
retrospect, it's horrible.
Horrible trade by you.
Steal your face mask and Captain Cannabis trade.
Another horrible trade.
Cortland Sutton goes off for 16.2. Kareem Hunt with 3.5, adding about $20 to the pot for Captain Cannabis. Baker Mayfield gets beat up, 10.2 points, and Deontay Johnson doesn't even see the field. So we'll just say that right now, Captain Cannabis is in the lead of that trade.
As my dad would say, pathetic.
Horrible trade. Okay, the trade deadline's complete. No more trades.
Yeah, you suckers.
So we'll go down to listen to the bell ring and get to the market watch. Sorry, we
Yeah.
skipped freshman football.
I'm like, hell then, yeah.
We'll skip back to freshman football.
Who we talking about this week, Brendan?
This week, we're talking about one of the guys that is on one of the teams that is facing playoff elimination. How about who we talking about with the top 12, top 3?
All right, we are talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. with 17 points. Malik Neighbors with 15.3. Xavier Worthy with 10.4. Keon Coleman is still hurt with nothing. Rome Odunze with 4.5. Lad McConkey got hurt, but not before he put up 20.7.
Good lad.
Jaden Daniels with 27.64.
Domination.
Trey Benson with 2. Blake Corum with 4.2.
It's like the best he's done.
Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. with 18.7.
He's back.
Caleb Williams with 26.14.
Solid.
Brock Bowers with 30.2.
Otherworldly.
Ricky Pearsall with 0.
Goose. 3 in a row.
Jordan Whittington with 0.
Goose. At least 5 in a row.
Drake May with 19.42.
Respect.
Bo Nix with 12.16.
Disrespect.
Can't believe people are still talking about him for Offensive Rookie of the Year after that performance. Spencer Rattler with 0. Xavier Legette with 9.3. Ray Davis with 13.7. Bucky Irving with 27.5.
Depressing.
And Tyrone Tracy with 14.5.
Respectable.
Our top 3 scores of the week were Brock Bowers in first with 30.2. Jaden Daniels sneaking into second with 27.64. And Bucky Irving with 27.5. With an honorable mention going to Caleb Williams with 26.14.
And
the O'Roy, in my mind, has been locked down by Brock Bowers, but he's not a quarterback, so I doubt he'll get it.
Jaden Daniels making a push to reclaim that Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brock Bowers making a push to be a different position. Speaking of Brock Bowers, Brock Allen Bowers, 6'3", 230 pounds, born in Napa, California. Guess what high school he went to?
I don't know. California high school?
Napa High School.
Whoa.
Swear to God.
Crazy.
They must be called the Napa Grapes.
Wow. Or the Napa Winos?
The Napa Take a Napas.
I like that.
He left California to go to Georgia for college and was the quarterback for Georgia from tight end for Georgia for 2021 to 2023.
If he was the quarterback for Georgia, he'd be in the conversation for O'Roy.
It would be interesting. He was a linebacker and tight end in high school. His father was a center. His mother was an all-American softball star. In college, things happened for him. He was the national champion in 2021 and in 2022 with the Georgia Bulldogs. He won the John Mackey Award in 2022 and 2023, which is the best tight end in college football award. The only college football tight end ever to win that award twice. Second team All-American in 2021, first team All-American in 2022, and a unanimous All-American in 2023. Just keeps getting better. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year in 2021, three-time first-team All-SEC player. The Raiders drafted him in the first round, 13th overall. Colin drafted him in the 9th round, 103rd overall. He's played in 12 games, and in that, he has 84 receptions on 113 targets for 884 yards and 4 touchdowns, while also rushing the ball 3 times for 11 yards.
On pace for over 1,200 receiving yards on the season.
The dude is nice, and it was a good call. I know in the offseason I discussed him with Colin, and Colin was talking about, well, actually it was after the draft because Colin drafted him, so he had to bubble up his guy. He's been performing, I'd say, better than Sam Laporta last year, minus the touchdowns. I feel like Laporta was more of a touchdown machine.
I think that this is the best tight end season of all time so far.
For rookie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
for a rookie.
But when it comes to touchdowns, I think Laporta had like over 10 last year.
Yeah, I mean, receiving yards.
So, but yeah, the guy, you know, he looks like a prick, but he plays like a champion.
Oh, he looks like a 40-year-old man.
He looks like
he looks like, I saw this today. He looks like a 40-year-old hockey veteran who came back to win a Stanley Cup.
Who has pursed lips in all of his pictures. He just looks like he's just mad. He's pissed off at his trust funds.
He looks like one of my cousins.
Does he?
He does.
Your cousin looks like Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
But
also he's like 20 years older than Brock Bowers. So.
Your cousin looks like a pissed off trust fund boy from Napa, California.
Basically.
All right, Brock, you know what? Not enough down playing Brock Bowers. He is awesome.
He's great.
Awesome. Doesn't matter what he looks like.
Listen,
the field.
The Jets decided to take Olu Fashanu instead of Brock Bowers, and maybe they wouldn't be 3-10 if they had chosen the better player.
Imagine the difference it would have made. We'd probably be like, Aaron Rodgers.
He's so
28-point fantasy game.
Wow.
Oh
Probably
my
not,
God.
though. Probably not.
He's not even injured.
Brock Bowers is doing this with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. I think he had a game with what's his name? The former Patriot. I don't even remember his name. He's that bad. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
Burp, burp. And the bells are ringing. Ding, ding, ding. It is the Market Watch.
All right. I'll get started on this one. My first player is Justin Herbert. And his stock is going down. Down.
Somebody press the downward elevator button.
Yeah, Laddie's hurt. Dobbins is out. His other wide receivers suck. And John Harbaugh doesn't want to pass the ball at all. So he's still a really good quarterback. He's still probably should be in the top 5 conversation, top 7 conversation. But I just don't see him getting production, especially from a fantasy standpoint. So stock is down. Sorry, Bob.
It's all going to Kamani Vidal. Anyways, my first highlight will be Isaac Guerrero, whose stock is going down in the opposite world because it's going up. It's going through the roof. Not only did he get a boost in stock with CMC being injured in the game, but he gets a double injection with Jordan Mason being knocked out. Both of them being put on IR even gives him a more skyrocketing appeal in fantasy. And if he's not rostered, rush to the waiver wire because he's going to be the top pick.
He's got to be the starter for the rest of the season.
That's
in
a
my
huge.
mind.
It's probably
Like-
one of the best waiver pickups of the season next to Jordan Mason.
Yeah. Unfortunately for everyone in the playoffs, chances are you're not going to be able to get him.
Yeah, that's so true.
So, all right. So next I have Jerry Jeudy.
I mean, how can you go up from last night?
Well, his stock is up. His stock is
It
up.
is?
Yes.
Oh, my
It is up and it's
goodness.
staying there. He's got 5 straight double-digit games. Like I said, he's Jameis's favorite target. He just put up 40 points.
Do you have to play against him this week if he's decided to be rostered?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Watch him put up 5.
I hope so. Aggie, I hope you're not listening. I hope that you keep him on your bench, and hopes are hopes. But
I hope he's listening for the doghouse later.
yeah.
'Cause we're probably going to join each other again.
So Jerry Jeudy, yeah, like five straight double-digit games. I mean, they're not like all world beaters. Some of them he's putting up 12 points, but still, double digits is double digits. You got to get credit for that. And he's been playing really well. Last night he balled out. So stock is up.
Nice. My next highlight's going to go to Isaiah Pacheco.
Ooh,
Who
he's back finally.
has
So
returned.
his stock has got to be,
And his stock is going down.
Whoa, really?
His stock is going down. It's going down. It was huge in the beginning of the season. Probably one of the best keepers in the league. At least running backs, him and Kyron and Jonathan Taylor.
Devon Achane.
Devon Achane. I wasn't as sold in the beginning of the year because of the Raheem Mostert experiment. I mean, I feel like he was just, the guy runs so hard. The Chiefs were just laying on him, just letting him do everything. The fact that he was injured, it didn't seem, it seemed bad. I mean, we found out he was going on IR, but they were trying to piece it together with Samaje Perine and Carson Steele and then re-sign Kareem Hunt, who was free agent. It didn't seem like anybody was going to take that job. And I don't think they did take that job, but they certainly took at least half of that job. So Isaiah Pacheco's 14-point projections are probably going to drop to 10 or 9. He's going to be one of those committee running backs. He's got the juice, so you'll see some good plays, maybe some touchdowns, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing based on his first game back.
Understandable. I mean, it was going to be a ramp up anyway. The problem for Colin is it might not help him get into the playoffs where he actually will have the ramp up and maybe start getting good production. So
we'll see. I mean,
Yeah, we'll see.
Kareem Hunt did fail this week.
yeah, Pacheco
At least
didn't do
Pacheco
that.
looked better. He
Yeah.
had a longer run, but it was bad.
Not that much better. So my next Market Watch player is someone that I just mentioned. Or sorry, no, it's not. It's I forgot I'm going backwards just to keep it fun. So my next Market Watch player is Rico Dowdle, and his stock is up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're telling me Zeke is not eating?
Well, it was
They're
more
not
so
feeding?
Dalvin Cook that we were worried about cutting in. No, we weren't worried about Dalvin Cook.
We're not
I'm
worried
lying.
about Zeke either. So
No.
Rico.
So Rico got 19 carries last week for 86 yards, 22 carries this week for 112 yards and a touchdown. I don't see why they wouldn't keep running the ball, especially if CD is out. Fingers crossed he's not. But that passing offense needs some help, and that comes from the running game. So I can see him continue to eat for the next few weeks.
Nice. My next highlight will go to Jaleel McLaughlin. Jaleel McLaughlin stock is rising. If you watched the game last night, you know that. If you're putting in your waivers tonight, you might want to put in a waiver for him. He's going to be somebody that you could insert into your team, especially this week with all these bye weeks. I'm sure there's a few people struggling for running backs. I'm pointing at myself right now. and I know everybody wants running backs. Looks like Jaleel has usurped Javante, and it's not really looking like Estime's getting more than 5 touches a game. And
I think that Peyton is going with the hot hand, so there's a chance that Javante is the guy next week. I don't think that it's a done deal, but makes sense. His stock is definitely rising.
When the running back gets the handoff 5 plays in a row and gets 3 or 4 first downs, like that's when you see it and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, he's also tiny though. You look at him and it's like, wow, you're a running back.
He's quick. And you know what's crazy? Before the game last night, I had to make some sort of bold move that can only help. So I decided instead of Jaleel McLaughlin, I picked up Jerome Ford. And it actually didn't. Both guys looked like they would have been good to pick up before that game as like a free prior to waivers pickup due to their, still being free agents.
Jerome
for the
Ford
game.
had a good average yards per carry, and it's kind of disappointing that they didn't run him more. But that's how it goes.
They ran him way more than anyone would have expected. I was expecting to pick him up and he'd be my drop guy tonight. So now it made things more difficult.
So my last guy is CJ Stroud, and his stock is down.
Down. It has to be down.
Yeah. No 20-point games since week 4, and 1 over 15 points since week 6.
Not what we expected, man.
Yeah.
I
was kind of thinking it like the sophomore slump. It happens all the time, especially for quarterbacks when you start getting game tape. And then it really hurt for him losing Nico over a long stretch of the season.
Understandable, but prior to the season when he had Nico and Tank and then Schultz and then added Stephon Diggs, it was like, oh shit.
Then
and Mixon.
Tank got shot. Tank got hurt. It's no good. It's no good.
It is no good. All right. Well, my final Market Watch player was a typo due to autocorrect. Karen Williams. Karen, this is suiting the pick because Kyren Williams' stock is going down.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. We're seeing a lot more Blake Corum on the field. He hasn't been really producing, but he's been getting touches. Kyren Williams came into the season as a, owning that backfield.
Oh,
we didn't expect Blake to, maybe like to claw it towards the end of the season.
Some people expected.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
It's not happening
fast.
It
took way too long.
It's probably not going to happen by the end of the season where, he loses his job, but he's losing touches. He's losing volume.
A lot of people thought that Blake Corum was the best running back in the draft. And so when the Rams picked him up, and Kyren Williams, while he produced a lot of touchdowns, his per carry, his like ADOT, stuff like that wasn't great. And he had injury problems. So the people I was reading in the offseason thought that Blake Corum had a chance to usurp, which obviously did not happen. But I could see Billy having real questions about if he wants Kyren to be his keeper going into next year, based off of how the end of this season goes.
Let's see if he makes a move on keeping his keeper again.
Yeah, better watch out, Karen. We're coming from you.
And we will continue on with our next segment.
Sly as a fox.
Yeah.
Who's got it? Who's your Sly as a Fox pickup?
So I have 2 people who go into one category.
Okay.
And my Sly as a Fox goes to Sean and Jay for winning the crap out of your trades. There is no question that both of you came out way far ahead. Sean has a guy in Cortland Sutton that he needs to be seriously considering as a keeper pick for next year. And Jay obviously won his with Mark Andrews, who he could keep as a keeper if he wanted for a 9th round pick, right? And he's a 9th.
He'd be an 8th.
Oh, he was a 9th this year? All
yeah.
Right. And then he's got, what's his face? DeAndre Swift, who obviously has not been playing great lately, but he could pick it up at any moment. It's going into playoff season, so He won that trade,
For
no
nothing.
doubt about it, for nothing.
Couldn't have seen it coming.
Honestly, if you guys had not made that trade, there's a good chance that you'd be swapped places in the lineup. You wouldn't be worried about, or you wouldn't be out of the playoffs. You wouldn't be worried about making the playoffs, and he would.
Great.
Yeah.
My Sly as a Fox pick of the week goes to nobody because fuck this week. All right.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. That's what happens when you don't do your homework, folks.
Yeah, that's what happens when just you suck at fantasy and the tides don't turn your way. Hopefully they turn to the opposite direction. And we'll go ahead to our next and final segment.
Parallel universe.
Second to last segment.
Second to last segment. Damn, I'm bad at this. All right, just a quick highlight in the Family League. The Fluffy Beagles against FEL, who was our first place team but went on a huge losing streak.
Hold on.
The Fluffy Beagles?
You didn't put the playoff breakdown into the game plan?
Oh, yeah, we were supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I kept on saying that it was coming later. It's coming later, and we were about to just leave out of here without talking about the playoff breakdown.
All right. I'll give a quick rundown onto the parallel universe real fast because we're way over time, and then we'll get into the playoff breakdown.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah, because I was like, wait a second. So yeah, the Fluffy Beagles, Christina, my sister-in-law, faced off against Fernando, FEL, my brother-in-law, on the other side of the family. Going into Monday night, FEL held on to a 7-point lead with Javante Williams to go, and he faced off against Cortland Sutton, who he hoped to hold on through the game. Late in the fourth quarter, FEL was up 134.8 to 134.38. Cortland Sutton's last target ended up going for 8 yards, leading the Fluffy Beagles to victory with a win by 1.5 points. And at 10-3 and over 100-point lead, Great White leads the way in first place. So good, congratulations, Julia. You are dominating. 8th and 9th place both lose, leaving them both alive and fighting for the final spot. Beans, the only 6 and 7 team, is in with the win this week, where Vivi Ramon, the only 5 and 8 team, needs a win and to score more points than Beans, and for Beans to lose in the process. So it's looking tight. There's 2 teams fighting for that last playoff spot. When it comes to the Lions Den Jays League, the only highlight close game this week was myself facing off against Lord Byron, going into Monday night trailing by just over 5 points. Cortland Sutton to go, and he put it up. I ended up winning by about 8. The highlight in the Lions Den is that this league is so tight in the rankings that entering the final week of the season, the top 4 are 8 and 5, followed by 2 7 and 6 teams and 2 6 and 7 teams, who are all in the playoffs, where the bottom 4 are all 5 and 8. Head-to-head league, and the final week should be just tremendous. There's a lot going on. Let's see. I think the teams that need to win are facing each other. Jay is facing off against his dad. They also need some help from some teams losing. Billy's in first place at 8 and 5. And he's facing off against a 5 and 8 team who obviously needs to win. That's the team I just faced, Lord Byron. Then we have Mr. McGiblets going off against Danny DeVito's Bail Fund. He's the last 5 and 8 versus an 8 and 5 team. The 6 and 7s, there's a lot of matchups here that are gonna, it's just too many things can happen to kind of cover this. So just know nobody's dead. So everybody's still alive. What happens this week will tell all. Now, when it comes to the game plan, put it in the air. The fantasy playoff picture. Did you get signed out of your fantasy league?
Well, not only that, for a while it was saying this, it was saying my my email isn't in their records, so I couldn't even sign in. Now it's
being glitchy.
It's this whole year, the NFL app, and I'm not
especially
willing
week 1. remember that when everybody it was terrible.
It's trash.
Too many people playing, man.
Yeah, it's
so
really whack.
let's run down from the top. Scott, the Millfuckers, 11-2 in first place, sole position of first place, and he also beat
cannot
Marv.
give it up. Yeah.
So if he loses and Marv wins, he's still going to be first. Marv being in the second place team at 10-3. Great season. He's lost a couple of late. He started off undefeated.
He's on a 2-game losing streak.
And he lost 3 out of his last 5, I believe.
Yep.
Or no, 3 out of his last 4.
Yeah, I think
No,
so.
no, because he was 8-0, not 9-0. I don't think he was 9-0. Was
no,
he?
I think didn't he get to like 10 no.
He was
No, he got to 9-0, I think.
9-0. Okay, so he's 1-3 in the last 4
Yeah.
games.
And Mike is on a 2-game winning streak, including a win over Marv. So he's a game behind Marv.
Yeah,
So I don't know about all the tiebreakers, but there's a chance that if Mike wins this week and Marvelous
jump.
loses, that Marv goes all the way down to 3rd after being in 1st for the majority of the year.
that all depends on if Mike did beat Marv their first matchup of the season in week 2.
No, well, we know he didn't because Marv was undefeated.
Oh yeah, so no, Marv won't lose his spot unless Mike scores 140 more points than Marv, because if they share the same record with the same tiebreaker, it goes to points for.
Okay.
So Marv's got 140 more than Mike.
Yeah.
Now when it gets very interesting, the 4, 5, and 6 position teams are all 7-6. In 4th place, Billy and Steal Your Face Mask. 5th place, I Fucks Your Mom, Aggie, with the worst team still in fantasy history. And 6th place, the Boston Bulldogs, Jay, right there behind Aggie and Billy.
And all 3 of them are averaging less than 10 points per game difference from each other. Right? Like Jay has scored 608 points on the year. Billy has scored 1692 and Aggie has scored 1640. That's less than 90 points over 13 games. So we're talking about like a 7-point per game difference. They're basically scoring the same amount. Any of them could leapfrog the other. There's going to be a lot of movement this week.
Aggie's had a rough go over the last, month and a half. He did, win last week. This
So
past
is Billy.
week he
Billy's
lost.
on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, oh yeah, I didn't even realize that. And Jay's on a 3-game winning streak. Probably has to do with that trade that we made.
Yeah.
Now the fun part. 7, 8, 9, and 10. All 5 and 8. Only 2 will make the playoffs. Babalu in the G-Men's Crusaders is 2-1 against the other teams. He did beat Colin. I'm sorry. He beat Colin and I, and Pascal beat him. Pascal is 2-2 against these teams, as he went 1-1 against me. He beat Babalu handedly by 100, and he lost to Colin. So East Coast Virus being 2-2 against these teams as well, also going 1-1 against Pascal, losing to Babalu and beating them great. Colin faced 1 game each against these players, lost to Babalu and myself, and beat Pascal. So he's 1-2. So that's why he's the only one who won this week, but he dropped a position. Sorry, you won this week too.
Yes.
I'm forgetting that because you beat me, and it just felt like a loss all around.
Well, he's the only one who won and dropped a position.
Yeah.
So you were technically accurate.
And it's crazy because Pascal goes from 10th to 8th. I drop from 8th to 9th, and Colin drops from 9th to 10th. Frank and Sean were both 3-9. Frank beat Sean. He's 4-9 now. 1 game behind us. Sean is officially eliminated at 3-10.
And Sean is officially the toilet bowl of the season. Even if he wins and Frank loses, Frank will still be in 11th place. So we got to get that toilet bowl trophy over to Sean somehow. We got to figure out how that's
had
supposed
it
to
for like
happen.
3 years, so he was supposed to give it to me last year, but
It's funny that our
What's going on
last
with that?
place team gets a trophy, but hey, I'm here for it.
Now Frank, I did some looking to see if Frank had a way into the playoffs. Frank lost
He
to
can't.
Colin.
There's no way.
Well, if he wins and you and I lose, and Colin or Baba will lose. So
Yeah.
if 3 of the 4 teams lose and Frank wins, we will all share a 5-9 record. However, who has the best record? I could tell you this. Frank lost to Colin. Frank lost to me, and Frank lost to you. I don't know if Frank beat Babalu. I haven't even been able to check that out yet, but it doesn't matter in that respect because 0-3, possibly being 0-4, at best 1-3, having the same record, that's not going to put you in there. So this is your unofficial notice that Frank has been eliminated. We are sorry, man. You had a rough go in the meat and potatoes of the season.
Sure did.
I know how it feels. So
I think we both know how that feels.
well, I lost 10 in a row last year, so I really do know how it feels. Pascal is in position with Babalu in the playoffs right now. Now, here's how it goes. Babalu versus Colin this week. Winner is in. It's that simple. Whoever wins that matchup will have a better enough record against Pascal and I if we also both win that they will be in either 7th or 8th position. Pascal needs a win. Okay?
All right.
And either a Brendan loss, a Colin loss, and that's it.
So I need to win, and one of you needs to lose.
Yes.
So if
Or-
I win and both of you win,
You're out.
I'm out. Oh.
So you could actually
I don't
lose.
even control my own destiny.
Yes. And
Damn.
here's what's crazy. If Colin wins, Babalu, you, and I all lose, you will own the tiebreaker between the three teams, and you'll be in. Now, if I win...
So I just need you to lose. Really, that's what it comes
you
down to.
need me to lose or Colin to lose. If Colin loses and you lose...
Oh, man. All right.
Then-
All right.
I'm sorry, if Baba loses and you lose, then you have a chance if I lose.
Okay.
So you do need me to lose.
I need you to lose.
Now, I need you to lose. It's the same exact way the other way, except I beat Colin and lost to Baba. So here's the deal. If I win, I need either you to lose or Baba to lose. That's all I need.
Okay.
I just need a win and one of you guys to lose.
Wow.
So I'm
All right.
rooting for Colin and I'm rooting for me, obviously.
Yeah.
However, if I lose and you lose and Colin loses, Baba's in and I'm in.
Wow.
It's insane.
Wow.
So there's a chance, like Colin and Baba have more of like a clear path. If they
Right.
win, they're in. However, you and I have a bigger opportunity because if we lose, we still have a way in.
We still have a chance to be in.
Now,
Wow.
we could also
All right.
win and not get in. So that's kind of the shitty part.
Yeah.
So it's really, really tight. I kind of
love
wish
it.
we
I
covered
really
this
love
in the
it.
beginning of the episode because this is like the best part of the fucking episode.
Right.
So,
I should have let you just go through it, but
Yeah.
I thought it was on the docket.
I forgot to put it on. But yeah, it's really insane. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Especially time of games. I know that Billy's in my matchup don't even see any Monday or Sunday night players, so we're gonna be done. Oh, I'm sorry, Billy is the Chiefs defense Sunday night.
Hey, it could come down to that.
Colin and Babalu looking at no Sunday. Oh, Babalu. Oh, I'm sorry. Forget what I just said. They have a Monday night showdown. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase versus Chase Brown. Holy crap. And then in Pascal versus
I've got
Aggie,
CeeDee Lamb.
you've got
Monday
CeeDee
night,
Lamb Monday
hopefully
night.
playing.
Pascal's got DeAndre Hopkins Sunday night and Travis Kelce Sunday night and Cameron Dicker Sunday night. And who knows who he's going to play at quarterback, but it's probably going to be Russell Wilson at 1. Aggie hasn't set his lineup.
I mean, that's the only quarterback he has on his roster, so I'd be surprised if he took someone off waivers when Russ has been playing well.
And he's also got to replace Zay Flowers. He's got a few
Jerry
players
Jeudy.
on his bench like Dalvin Cook. Maybe he wants to put in.
I would not mind that. I
Yeah,
would not.
Jerry Judy's probably going to be.
Yeah,
the
no. CeeDee Lamb playing on Monday night really hurts because I
Oh yeah, that's a
I
real.
don't know like what.
That's a barrel full of shit. You're
Yeah.
probably gonna have to pick up like Jalen Tolbert or something just in case. Or
Jeez.
yeah, that's tough. Or Jermaine Burton,
Honestly, I've already had
Yoshivas.
to put Christian Watson in for Devontae Smith because
And you
I
have-
don't know if he's going to play, and Christian Watson plays on Thursday.
And Kyle Pitts is in too. You're forced to play Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see about waivers. I'm looking at some guys to pick up, but
Yeah, I'm looking at a
Yeesh.
pile of shit as Ramondre Stevenson, my J.K. Dobbins replacement, goes on bye. So currently, I'm looking at playing Alexander Madison if he plays. I've got some work to do as well, deciding between Jerome Ford, Roshan Johnson,
so
Kamani Vidal.
there is this little nugget. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones said Friday that Lamb will benefit from extra rest time between games and should be ready for Week 14 against the Bengals.
should sounds like a long shot.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered the AC joint injury at the beginning of November. He aggravated it in the third quarter of Thursday's win over the Giants. That's a long time between games. I got lucky that it's Thursday to Monday. He should be all right, but we'll see, man. We'll see.
I'm just happy I'm dodging Lamar Jackson, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and Deontay Johnson this week.
Yeah, you're lucky with yours. I'm only
Oh, and Goddard is zeroed out. It looks like Goddard's out.
I'm only dodging Jaden Daniels and Zay Flowers, who are ballers, but he's got Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson playing against Cleveland. So Cleveland gave up a lot of points to Denver, but a lot of them were pick sixes. They played well against Bo Nix. So I got my fingers crossed.
And Babalu's, Colin's looking good because Babalu's got DK Metcalf and DeMarcus Robertson, who are both questionable.
Yeah.
I'm going Colin this week. And then I just noticed we totally missed this, but Dallas Goedert being considered week to week and may go on IR.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Billy's sitting there with a stud that he picked up midseason. Jonnu Smith is his tight end. But
Yeah, he's going to go off.
his team's looking kind of touch and go
It's
right
questionable. It's a lot of boomer bust guys. Amari Cooper, MVS.
now. Baker Mayfield, Tank Bigsby.
Even Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
Tank,
Amari.
like-
Yeah,
He's still slated to beat you though.
Yeah, well, that's
So-
because my kicker is at 0 for some reason. And
yeah.
I don't know what that's all
John Parker Romo.
about. Oh, and so is my defense.
No, your defense is at 6.33.
Okay, it's just sometimes it kicks it out. But yeah,
All
either
right.
way,
Well, we've got to
move.
This, get
Yeah,
this
yeah, we're
moving
done.
So I can get out
Um,
of here and pick up my daughter.
yeah,
We got one last thing.
yeah.
So I'll let you start out because we know who you're going with.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Aggie and myself this
Don't
week.
push yourself.
I'm putting myself in the doghouse because I had such a just shit end of season that I just feel like sleeping outside.
Understand.
With Aggie.
And your crappy trade with Jay.
Yeah, and the fact that I still haven't paid the top scorers
Damn.
of the week,
You took mine.
like fucking 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 weeks.
Yeah,
Um,
a long time.
I'll get your
long
guys
time.
your money. I mean, it's the end of the line. This is the last top scoring week. So I'll pay everyone out this week, and then whoever wins the last one, just consider it a donation.
I do think that we should vote on what I talked about last week for next season, where the lowest top score
Yes.
goes to the highest. What was it? The highest wet fart, right? Is that what it was?
I'm sorry. I'm
The lowest top score goes to the highest wet fart of the season. Are we here to? Do you
I'm
understand what I'm
lost.
saying?
No.
Whoever gets the lowest top score of the season, the weekly top score, the lowest one,
Yes.
that money goes to the highest scoring wet fart of the season. You see?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. So no one would get their top score until the end of the season. And
Highest, so
the lowest
worst,
one,
the worst performing team,
the worst performing
in the
top
best
score,
way.
right? The worst performing top score would go to the best performing bottom score.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder who holds those places right now.
We would have to look,
I
right?
did just put up a 111 doo-doo.
Yeah, I think we've had some other top scores that were up in the 100 teens.
Interesting.
So yeah, we'd have
I
to
think
look at it.
even more so important in terms of voting, we need to vote about draft placement.
Switching up to Yeah.
we're getting to the end of the season. We don't know exactly who's in and who's out. We know mostly, who's in, but we do need to figure out in terms of draft position.
I have some stuff that we can talk about after the season for suggestions on how we switch things up. I also think that we should extend the trade deadline because it just makes sense to be, or maybe like extend it further into the season or extend it back before the draft so that you can trade some of your keepers before the draft for maybe draft picks.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. So just things to think about.
Yeah. Well, you guys got plenty of time to think. We took up enough of your time, so you guys just always remember when setting your waivers to put it in the air.
This is the Put It in the Air podcast.
I'm so angry right now, man. Not really. It actually makes for a very exciting final week.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think that we're doing pretty well in our league to have it like this. You know, people are actually involved. They're invested. Yeah. Can you pass the helium balloon over? Yeah, buddy. All right. Now here's a balloon of something else.
Let's go back down. And now, back to normal.
Back to normal. You guys
Yeah.
ready?
I think we have some good stuff for next season. We got some good effects. Hopefully I have time for it.
Yeah, me too. I think we will find time.
Yeah, I think we will. But
It might be cut down though.
yeah. On that note, we out.
Peace. See you later.